neighbourhoods like that than if there are. I mean, I don't know. That's maybe in LA or something. I mean, I don't know. I've never been there. But if there are neighbourhoods that are like that and he happens to be in one, then is that not just a depiction of somewhere that really exists? What makes that racist? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. A lot of these are just like totally... I've never thought of this before, but some of these are theme, right? Like jungle to jungle, or up in the air, or like white guy visits black society. And that seems like that's a common theme in film. I don't know if it's racist, but it's definitely a tired trope.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go watch Gremlins again. I think that's what I'm going to do tonight.
I'm going to go to work, Davey, so, maybe in work in about half an hour. Yeah, lucky you.
Well, thank you for your service.
Yes, thank you for your service, sir. It's been a good show. It's been fun.
For sure.
And if we decide to untie Michael Dean, we'll let you know.
I don't know. I think we could go a couple of shows without him. What do you think?
Maybe. I don't know. He's looking angry. He'll set his cat army on us. I wouldn't do it.
Attention listeners, SurvivalLife.com is giving away free EverStrike permanent matches for a limited time only. These matches are waterproof and will light in any weather condition, rain, snow, or sleet. It will still throw a spark. Its built-in ferro rod strikes at 3,000 degrees, and it is good for 15,000 strike. Normally, $15. Today, it's free. Get yours at freewaterproofmatch.com. Again, that's freewaterproofmatch.com. Hurry, supplies are limited. Visit freewaterproofmatch.com today. The Clean and Green sale continues at Guns80.com. My buddy Mark is rolling in clover since Guns80.com announced its Clean and Green sale. He used his leprechaun-like magical powers to get Guns80.com to offer us a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Now, for a limited time, when you order an AR-15 rifle kit, Guns80.com will toss in a cleaning kit and a tactical bipod pistol grip free, all for the low, low price of $449.95. Go to Guns80.com or call 844-2-GUNS80.
If the IRS has garnished your paycheck or seized money from your bank account, you need to get professional tax help now.
Are you looking for an excuse to come check out New Hampshire this fall? You're invited to Keenvention. Keenvention is your chance to meet dozens of key liberty activists from across the Shire. You can explore the beautiful little city of Keene, discuss various forms of activism with seasoned veterans, do some Robin Hooding, and learn about making the move. Keenvention received rave reviews last year. If you missed it, visit keenvention.info for full video coverage of every speaker and panel. This year's keynote speeches and panels will be announced via the Keenvention blog and Facebook, so stay tuned there for the latest. Join old and new friends and neighbors in Keene for Keenvention this October 30th through November 1st. Tickets are available now at a special early bird price of just $50 via credit card or Bitcoin. That $50 price only lasts through the end of June, so don't delay. Reserve your tickets now at keenvention.info. Visit keenvention.info for more and look for our page and event on Facebook. That's keenvention.info.
Lock it here for more live content. Free Talk Live is next on the Liberty Radio Network. You're listening to the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates, online at thelibertybeat.com. I'm Brian Hagan with your Liberty Beat for Friday, March 27th, 2015. Gold opened today at $1,199, down $6. Silver opened at $17.09, down 1 cent. And Bitcoin is trading around $246.11. Today's Bitcoin price is brought to you by ExpressCoin, the fastest and most reliable way to buy Bitcoin. Buy Bitcoin today at expresscoin.com. In the news, the Justice Department Inspector General reports that agents of the Drug Enforcement Administration attended sex parties funded by drug cartels on government property. The report examines the DEA's response to sexual harassment claims from 2009 to 2012. The Inspector General highlights a lack of communication and accountability among internal affairs investigators assigned to investigating misconduct allegations. Employees with the FBI, DEA, U.S. Marshal Service, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives have all been accused of being involved in inappropriate sexual behavior. 7 agents admitted to attending parties in Colombia with prostitutes paid for by the cartels. On Wednesday, WikiLeaks released a new draft of the secretive Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade Agreement. The investment chapter is dated January 20th and details how individual nations cannot show preferential treatment to local investors compared to investors of partner nations. The chapter also details how nations will be compensated if property is nationalized. Critics say the controversial TPP would erode national sovereignty and grant corporations greater ability to override government rulings. The Army is planning a 17-city military exercise across the state of Texas as part of training against an ever-changing foreign threat. Operation Jade Helm will include a coalition of forces, including the Green Berets, SEALs, and Special Operations Commands from the Air Force and Marines. The exercises will take place over a 2-month period from July to September. Army Special Operation Command spokesman Mark Lastoria said soldiers would be training to blend in with local populations. The Liberty Beat is sponsored by CoinArch, offering innovative online trading solutions for Bitcoin. Visit coinarch.com and sign up with coupon code MAX and get free brokerage for the first 7 days. It only takes $10 to start an account. That's coinarch.com. Looking to promote your business or cause to tens of thousands of loyal listeners? Well, for a limited time only, the Liberty Beat is offering you the chance to say big while spreading your message. It's simple. Just sign up for 3 months of advertising and get your 4th month free. Don't miss out on this unique opportunity. Just visit thelibertybeat.com/advertise and use coupon code GCN in the Describe Your Company section. This is the Liberty Beat for Friday, March 27th, 2015. Check out the website at thelibertybeat.com. The Food and Drug Administration will host a 2-day meeting in April to review regulations on homeopathic medicines. Homeopathic products are protected by federal law and do not have to prove they are safe or effective before being sold. The meeting is not going to involve a vote or formal recommendation, but the FDA will take comments from the public and industry officials. Residents of northern Saskatchewan, Canada, have won an important victory in their 4-year battle to keep their lands free of nuclear waste. On March 3rd, the Nuclear Waste Management Organization announced that the town of Cretin was no longer a contender for a deep geological repository for the long-term storage of spent fuel bundles from Canada's nuclear reactors in Ontario, Quebec, and New Brunswick. Members of the Dene, Cree, and Métis nations formed the Committee for Future Generations to fight against the possible waste site. The battle of the Bitcoin traders is underway between Tatiana Moroz and John Bush. They both started with $100 and are using the CoinArch trading platform to place long and short bets on the price of Bitcoin. They've made their first trades, and the competition ends April 8th. To follow along with their progress and to see the weekly coaching calls they're doing with trading experts, visit thelibertybeat.com/coinarch. The Liberty Beat is brought to you by the Texas Bitcoin Conference, March 28th and 29th at ACL Live at the Moody Theater. Join scores of Bitcoin experts and enthusiasts from around the world for talks, networking, and a $1 million Bitcoin 2.0 hackathon. Tickets on sale now at texasbitcoinconference.com. Use coupon code LibertyBeat for $25 off your ticket. That's coupon code LibertyBeat. Support also comes from Midas Resources Incorporated, helping clients convert their paper 401ks and IRAs to solid gold and silver. Get their 10 Reasons book free by calling 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237. This is the Liberty Beat for Friday, March 27th, 2015. I'm Brian Hagan, reporting, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
The Subway restaurant chain has reacted with shock this week after executives discovered that many customers are apparently purchasing footlong sandwiches and eating the entire 12 inches by themselves. A spokesperson for the company addressed reporters this morning.
This is not how our products are intended to be consumed. Our footlong subs have always been meant to be shared among 2 or more friends. Eating an entire foot of food shouldn't be possible for most people, but they've been doing it somehow, and it needs to stop.
To encourage healthier eating habits, Subway is clarifying its marketing, adjusting language on menus and in television commercials like this one. $5 footlongs? Wow, that's $2.50 per person. Subway's corporate leadership says they were horrified to learn of the misunderstanding.
It's frightening. I mean, you don't see people eating entire pizzas by themselves. We even cut the footlongs in half into 2 regular-sized sandwiches before handing them to you. But I guess that wasn't clear enough.
This is the Onion News Network.
This is Free Talk Live.
Mark and Ian on their way to Austin, Texas. They might actually be in Austin. I'm not entirely positive what time they landed, but I know that they're down there. They will be broadcasting live tomorrow and Sunday from the Texas Bitcoin Conference, and we'll tell you about that later. But first, Johnson, there's a story that apparently has...
Wait, who? It's supposed to be Danica, right?
It's supposed to be Danica, but it's Johnson this week.
Yeah, there's just a sickness that's going around this area that's just taking people out left and right.
Yeah, everybody I know has either had it or knows someone that does.
I'm still mildly getting over it, so I may be making use of the cough button that we have here in studio occasionally tonight. But yeah, it's so she's sick, and I was sick last night, and it's just a disaster.
Yeah, so there's a story that has got the internet abuzz about apparently some lobbyist guy named Patrick Moore, supposedly a lobbyist for Monsanto, was doing an interview with French television, a channel called Canal Plus, and he's talking about some chemical that's in Roundup pesticide, saying that it's safe to drink. And the headlines are Monsanto lobbyist refuses to drink pesticide that he claims to be safe. So I've got a clip. It's about 45 seconds here. So let me just play this for you. And then there's news about this guy, and it might surprise you.
I do not believe that glyphosate in Argentina is causing increases in cancer. You can drink a whole quart of it and it won't hurt you.
You want to drink some? We have some here.
I'd be happy to, actually, but not really. But
not really.
I know it wouldn't hurt me.
If you say so, I have some glyphosate.
No, I'm not stupid.
Okay, so you.
No, but I know
so it's dangerous,
I
right?
know people try to commit suicide with it and fail fairly regularly.
Tell the truth.
It's not dangerous to humans. No.
Okay, so he says it's not dangerous to humans, but he refuses to drink it and says, I'm not stupid. There's about 15 more seconds here to where
I don't know, tequila's not dangerous to humans, and I don't really want to drink that because it tastes terrible.
True, but let's just hear the last 15 seconds of this interview.
It's not.
So you're ready to drink one glass of glyphosate?
No, I'm not an idiot. Interview me about golden rice. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, then it's finished. Then the interview is finished.
That's a good way to solve things.
Yeah. You're a complete jerk.
So he tells the interviewer, you're a complete jerk, gets up, pulls the lav mic off of his jacket, and walks away. So what do you think could possibly be the shocking truth about this man, Johnson?
I have no idea.
Well, according to Newsweek, Patrick Moore is not now nor has ever been a paid lobbyist for Monsanto. That, according to Charla Lord, a spokesperson for Monsanto. Yes, Moore's bumbling defense of the herbicide Roundup on French television's Canal Plus spectacularly backfired, and his defense of the herbicide is especially noteworthy in light of the fact that last week the World Health Organization classified glyphosate, the main ingredient in Roundup, as a probable carcinogen. But does that make Moore a Monsanto lobbyist? Apparently not. Instead, Patrick Moore is a former Greenpeace member and an ecology PhD with an unusual history.
So this interview is entirely faked, essentially, is what you're saying.
No, the interview wasn't fake. The headlines associated with the interview were fake.
Well, wait a minute. Was the interviewer aware that this guy didn't work for Monsanto? Do we know?
As far as I know, yes. The guy was there to talk about something else, but he started defending this glyphosate, and he was like, oh, by the way, I've got some. Would you like to drink it?
Right.
But no, this guy is somehow associated with Greenpeace, or at least formerly associated with Greenpeace, and has a doctorate in ecology. He, according to Newsweek, is an ardent proponent of genetically modified crops and a vocal skeptic of man-made climate change. In 2014, he testified to the U.S. Senate that there is no scientific proof that humans are driving global warming. In 2010, Moore became a controversial figure for his work on an environmental sustainability report for Asian Pulp and Paper, an Indonesian company derided by groups like World Wildlife Fund for, among other things, threatening, endangering Sumatran orangutans and tiger habitats. Moore's report came back glowing, and he said he was engaged in world-class sustainable forest management, according to The Guardian. Moore is seen by some environmentalists as the most brazen of the spin doctors they face.
What's his first name?
His first name is Patrick.
Patrick Moore. Okay.
Patrick Moore. So what do you think about
sounds to
this?
me in the interview, his voice sounds to me a lot like William H. Macy, if you know that actor from like Pleasantville and
yes, the father in Pleasantville.
Yeah, sound is like I was listening to that. I'm like, is that William H. Macy?
No,
anyway,
it is Patrick Moore. So this is something that really annoys me. I guess you could say it is one of my pet peeves, and Mark Edge likes to say that I have so many peeves I could start a petting farm. But when people spread false information without fact-checking,
right,
and then getting on people when they do fact-check, and they're like, oh, you're government shill because you're saying blah, blah.
Right.
So, the headlines, even a headline from Time,
right,
formerly a magazine, now just a website, the headline from Time was, quote, watch a Monsanto lobbyist claim a weed killer is safe to drink, but then refuse to drink it.
Right.
Headline from Time.
Right.
So, when Time Magazine has a headline, who's to question that?
Well, now here's a question.
Start fact-checking
is that headline, well, I guess it's now just a website because it's not a magazine. When did they turn into just a website anyway?
A little over a year ago, I believe.
See, I wasn't
End
aware
of
of that.
2013, I believe, is when they got rid of the print magazine.
I used to be annoyed at the fact that Time Magazine would print a different headline for, and I guess they could still do this online, but they would print a different headline for news that they would publish to the United States versus news that they would publish to different countries.
Yeah, and they would have different covers.
Yep.
So now Time has changed their headline to say, watch a GMO advocate claim a weed killer is safe, but then refuse to drink it.
Right.
So, apparently Time got the memo.
Yeah.
That, this was being reported falsely. But what do you think? You can call in 855-450-FREE. That's the toll-free call-in line. We also have the Skype. So if you have Skype on your computer, cell phone, any mobile device, really, you can Skype into the show. LRN.FM is the Skype username. Of course, you will need to send a contact request first, and then we can accept that and then get you on. The reason for sending the contact request is so that we can message you to find out what your topic is and where you are calling from, because we don't want to just take calls blindly. And coming up later, Johnson, you've got something interesting about the Duck Dynasty. Yeah. And apparently one of the members of the Duck Dynasty
He's still making news.
Some kind of weird fantasy about raping and murdering an atheist family.
Yes.
So you'll tell us about that. And we also have Christopher Cantwell from ChristopherCantwell.com joining. And
he regrets to inform you.
No, it's not regret. I'm just congested. So,
No. I'm just, being self-deprecating and, making fun of myself for the audience. I do that sometimes.
Yeah, you do that, and there was a reason that Johnson wanted to have you on, and we can figure that out later on in the show. And, of course, your calls.
I'm sure it'll become apparent very quickly.
Whatever is on your mind, 855-450-FREE. That's the SACL, no, it's not the SACL CAA. It should be. That's the toll-free call-in line. Call in your thoughts about anything. This is Free Talk Live, online, freetalklive.com.
Indefinite extension of the human lifespan is coming. But is it coming soon enough for you and me? That's the $80,000 question. I say $80,000 because that's what it costs to have your head cryonically frozen by Alcor. I've committed to do it. I got a life insurance policy, and I made them the beneficiaries. Bam! My best shot at living forever. Interested? Contact them at alcor.org. ALCOR.org. Mention my name, and I get a free year of membership.
How fast are new Allegra gel caps?
I didn't know you got a cat fast.
How strong are new Allegra gel caps?
10 more lawns to go strong.
Non-drowsy Allegra gives you noticeable relief of your toughest allergy symptoms in just 1 hour, 2 times faster than Claritin, and stays strong for 24 hours.
It's relief when the pollen's off the charts strong, even in the convertible.
New Allegra gel caps. Nothing's faster, nothing's stronger. Guaranteed or your money back. Visit Allegra.com. Use only as directed.
Making the right decisions is a challenge to investors. Are we going to see economic growth, slide into a recession, or at worst, depression? Hi, Ted Anderson from Midas Resources. We all know when a company acts irresponsibly, divesting ourselves in a move towards safety is prudent. When the market becomes volatile, U.S. Treasuries are a safe haven. But what do you do when the U.S. government overextends itself and spends beyond its means? Many investors are turning toward gold as a common-sense alternative to traditional paper investments. Midas Resources has put together a powerful book titled 10 Reasons to Own Gold, discussing costs, benefits, risks, featuring full-color illustrations, weights, and measures. The book is free and can be yours by calling 800-686-2237. Paper investments are dwarfed by gold's 6,000-year history. Discover how gold may be right for you and your IRA by calling 800-686-2237. Whether buying or it's time for you to sell, the book is free. Call 800-686-2237.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
If you want to move to the free state and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State, or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can dial in, talk about whatever is on your mind. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And Ed, we will get to you in just a second. But first, uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what the readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. Readers of freedomsphoenix.com are constantly provided the detailed real news that lies between the lines of propaganda and the relationship we have with coercive governments. freedomsphoenix.com offers up-to-the-minute updates on the economy, technology, communications, and the rise of the police state. Go now to freedomsphoenix.com and sign up for the free daily dispatch. That's freedomsphoenix.com. So, Ed, in California, you want to talk about laws and, I believe, habeas corpus? What's on your mind?
Yes. Habeas corpus. I've been, involved in all of this as a volunteer over at Actions for Justice, AXJ. I don't know if you're familiar with us, but we've been on the internet since '98, basically, and we're one of the largest growing civil and political rights organizations around the world. And we believe, and we go back to Roman times. The habeas corpus came when somebody would be arrested in Roman times, and all they would request is bring me before the judge, and that's what the judges would say. And immediately upon the arrest, they would be taken to a Roman judge. He would analyze the circumstances of the arrest and decide whether it was a lawful arrest or not. Habeas corpus then trickled down through the Magna Carta into English law, into Spanish law, into European law, into all systems, legal systems. And it was the basis foundation where a person could request a judicial review of their arrest. Okay?
And don't people now have the ability to go before a court?
It was suspended. Nope, it was suspended. It was been suspended a few times in the American constitutional system. Lincoln suspended it, I believe. Bush suspended it with 9/11. And so, therefore, ultimately, now...
So everybody that gets arrested never goes before a judge?
We never have that opportunity to discuss whether the arrest was legal, lawful, or unlawful.
Well, that's different than saying whether or not somebody has a right to go to a judge. You're saying that because there is no habeas corpus, then nobody can go before a judge. But there are people that go to judges all the time.
I'm not sure that that's his point. He's saying
whether
that
the arrest was lawful or unlawful.
Right. It sounds to me what he's saying is not that people don't go in front of judges. It's that the government is asserting the authority to deny you access to a judge, right?
Exactly. You're arrested by a police officer, simply their word, hearsay. There's no evidence whatsoever. You're arrested. They said you committed a crime. You're saying, no, I didn't. You're saying to a judge, show me the evidence. Show me the evidence that I committed that crime. They don't have to show you anything. You're locked up.
Right. So, and at this point, I mean, even if they do bring you before a judge, it effectively doesn't mean anything anyway, because it's just they bring you before a judge, and the judge says, "Well, the police officer said you did it, so I guess you're going to jail."
Exactly. You did it. That's it. That's it. That's what we got in the United States right now.
Well, I mean, I think that we sort of have this throughout the world, and sort of always have, haven't we? I mean, hasn't it always sort of been the case?
No, not around the world. Listen, I was in Spain. I requested an habeas corpus I've lived in Spain for 20 years. I've lived in Europe. And I was unlawfully retained. They held me because they confused me with somebody else. I told them, look, I'm not that person, and I want you habeas corpus. They immediately, in 4 hours, brought me before a judge. The judge heard my side of the story, heard the police's side of the story, and he realized that I was the wrong individual, and they immediately released me. They turned me free.
Okay, but that's a situation where that's a case of mistaken identity. I mean, if you are brought, let me just say, so like you're in Spain, and a police officer accuses you of possessing drugs, and brings you before a judge and says, Judge, he possessed drugs.
Right.
And then you're going to jail, buddy.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're going to jail. That's right. But in Spain, no. In Spain, they arrest you. You immediately say habeas corpus. They take you before the judge, and the judge immediately decides whether the evidence the police officer has is enough to prove the crime or not. So if the police officer can't establish the fact that you were in possession of this drug, that you actually bought this drug, you were consuming this drug, or whatever, you go free.
Yeah, but he's going to establish it, right? Like he's going to go in there and he's going to say,
yeah. And how does he establish it?
But that's not enough.
He did it.
I saw it. He has to have more witnesses. He has to have more evidence and witnesses.
So if he goes in there with a bag of cocaine and says, "This is the bag of cocaine I found it with," you're not going to jail in Spain?
No.
That's amazing.
Because he hasn't established how I obtained it, who I obtained it from, when I obtained it, and all that. It's just hearsay. His word against mine. And the hearsay has no value in Spain.
This is hearsay, and I'd like some other people from Spain to call in and collaborate.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
evidence.
if you get caught with cocaine in Spain, you go to jail.
It also depends on the wording of the statute. There are some places to where the word knowingly is placed in the statute, to where if you did not knowingly do something, they have to let you go. So it's
That's
not necessarily this, like special word that you can say in court and get off scot-free. There are many circumstances that go into this other than just saying a magic word.
I had no idea that bag of cocaine was in my pocket.
Of course there are. But I'm just saying that hearsay, if an officer does not have witnesses, does not have evidence outside of himself, it's null and void. It's just hearsay. It's his words against mine.
Well, so we had that law here in the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, so you're part of some legal advocacy group that's trying to establish the Spanish system here. Is that the idea?
No. We're just trying to apply the American Constitution, which had the habeas corpus. Any citizen in the United States could immediately apply to the first court of competent jurisdiction, just say habeas corpus, and there has to be a hearing on the motives and reasons for the arrest and the legality of the arrest and the witnesses and everything. And there is none. There is none in the United States. It's disappeared.
So can you tell me where?
That's it.
Can you tell me where in the U.S. Constitution the words habeas corpus appear?
It's in the Constitution.
I don't know, chapter and verse here myself, but it is.
No, it's in the Constitution.
Yeah,
it's always been in the Constitution.
Yeah, I know that
it was suspended by Bush. It's suspended by Lincoln in the Civil War, obviously, and Mr. Lincoln killed a lot of people, a lot of innocent people in that war.
So I just pulled it up. It's Article 1, Section 9. The privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless, when in case of rebellion or invasion, the public safety may require it. So basically there's an unless in there, and they can make up any reason and claim that it fits within their unless. So I say that the Constitution is bunk and it is completely meaningless because the Constitution does not protect rights.
Ed, what do you think about having the other day we were talking about having a constitutional convention, maybe propose some amendments, straighten this thing out. What do you think?
Sure, of course. The people of this country are the ones in charge, not Congress, not those people, those 500 idiots there. No, we're in charge. The problem is we don't know how to organize this. We can organize our own courts, our own system. We don't need the attorney generals. We don't need all this crap. All we need is grand juries, 25 people, to decide. These are the facts. Send it over to the sheriff's department or the law enforcement department. Say, I want these and these and these individuals arrested because this is what they've done to this country. Okay, and I don't care if they're in power or not. I don't care if they're president or they're whoever. If they're not following the law and the Constitution, which is the highest law of the land, all these guys should be arrested. Here's what I'll tell you more than that. Okay, AXJ.
Hold on, Ed. We'll bring you back. We'll bring you back. I know you've got more that you want to say. There's more that I want to hear, and I've got questions. So we'll be back in just a moment. This is Free Talk Live.
Coins. But did you know Bitcoins are now over an $8.5 billion market? And did you know that over 65,000 businesses now accept Bitcoins? Listen, if you're already earning Bitcoins or trying to make money in the Bitcoin market, you've got to know bidbit.co. Why? Because bidbit.co is where you can easily receive Bitcoins by selling and auctioning off your own personal items or promote business products and services for Bitcoins. You heard right. Whether personal or business, you can now buy, sell, and auction your products and services quickly, easily, and securely for Bitcoin at bidbit.co, the first and only marketplace website to offer BidBit Escrow, a proprietary technology which gives buyers and sellers security and peace of mind because all transactions are protected. Start today. It's free to join, free to post, free to auction, and free to bid at bidbit.co. Buy, sell, bid, or auction everything Bitcoin. That's www.bidbit.co. bidbit.co.
A meme is not easy to define.
What is it?
But you know it when you see it.
Amazing.
Don'tTreadOnMeme.com proves that.
I feel so enlightened.
Don't Tread on Meme, M-E-M-E, helping you give the finger to our monetary system of deception by providing you with silver dime trading cards. Unlike today's dollar, they have value, and they look neat too.
Oh, would you look at those? Aren't those just swell?
Don'tTreadOnMeme.com. While you're browsing their numerous silver dime card designs, take time to download the easy-to-use Silver Calculator app. This simple piece of technology lets you know instantly, whether using iPhone or Android, just how much your silver coin is worth. Find out all the details at Don'tTreadOnMeme.com. Now accepting Bitcoin. Don't Tread on Meme, your path to a voluntary society with honest money. Don'tTreadOnMeme.com, serving you faster than the Fed prints money.
I'm Mark Stevens of the No State Project, and are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're only helping the government. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available right now. Learn it, use it, spread it. So get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, you've got Daryl
Cantwell
and Johnson.
And we will go back to Ed, who is calling from California, talking about habeas corpus and the fact that he believes it needs to be reinstated because in other countries you can just say the words habeas corpus and, like presto, bango, abracadabra, you go before a judge.
It's like a Harry Potter spell against the law.
And if the police officer or whomever did the arrest does not have evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that you did what you were arrested for, they have to let you go on the spot.
I don't know that he's making the case that it's got to be evidence beyond a reasonable doubt at the arraignment hearing.
That's what it sounds like, but we will let Ed explain.
That's the way it should be. Yep, that's the way it should be. That's the way I personally have experienced it. And that's the way
beyond a reasonable doubt at arraignment.
Beyond a reasonable doubt, yes, for the judge to decide that. See, now the police officer can say what he wants, but if he doesn't have the evidence, he can't prove what he's saying. That's it. You walk free. That's habeas corpus.
Let me ask you something. So we have look. You mentioned that habeas corpus has sort of been around for a long time. You mentioned the Magna Carta.
Romans. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, prior to the founding of the United States and that sort of thing. So habeas corpus has sort of been around for a long time, but people did get burned as heretics in certain times.
Yeah.
Right.
It
would seem to me that even when this idea was first brought about, it wasn't panning out so well back then either. Right.
No. Habeas corpus has been around since Roman times. That was the whole issue here, that a police officer, it was your word against his, okay? But who would decide the matter, the police officer or you? No, there had to be a third party, which was the judge, and that's what the Romans instituted. They said, okay, bring that body before the judge. That's what you have to do, and let the judge decide if it's a lawful or unlawful detention.
So when would you say that habeas corpus ended in the United States?
No, it still should be active in the United States.
No, it should be. I'm not saying should be.
I'm Constitution.
I'm not talking about should be. I'm talking about reality.
Okay, reality, no. Bush suspended it with the Patriot Act.
So you think Bush suspended it?
Yes. And Bush has a lot of interest in all this, and we all know what governments are doing and what the United States government is
Chris's
doing.
example, what happened when the witches in the Salem witch trials were like, habeas corpus?
No, let's even come more recent than the witches at the Salem witch trial. What about the Japanese Americans that were sent to internment camps during World War II? Did they have habeas corpus?
No. That was all suspended back then too. I mean, that was war. You're talking about war there. You're talking about a war situation.
So are you advocating that people should just be locked up when habeas corpus is suspended? And under what provision should it be suspended?
I'm advocating that the right to habeas corpus should never be suspended. Only two causes: rebellion, and the other one was internal. I forgot
invasion.
What the other one was, invasion. There we go.
I think
those don't exist.
The case that we're sort of trying to make here, Ed, I think, is that we've got these legal concepts that don't seem to have worked out so well over the course of history, and I think it's time to start looking at options that we haven't thought of yet. If you're going to try to reinstitute an ancient legal precedent that had existed during the internment of the Japanese, that it had existed during the Salem witch trials, that has existed when people were being burned as heretics in Old England, that it doesn't seem to have been working out so well, and sort of clinging to those concepts does not seem like a plan for success. You see what I'm getting at?
Well, yes and no. I can agree with you in part, but in part no, because the thing is, right now, it's not instituted, and there's no one judge that will decide the facts of the arrest itself. See, if you're arrested, okay, and they came up with the Miranda rights, okay, Miranda wasn't read his rights, he didn't know, he talked to the police, and he didn't have his right to remain silent. Okay, that's one case. But they've gone beyond that now. They don't even have to read you your rights anymore. They don't have to tell you anything. They just arrest you, and they throw you in jail. They don't even give you your free call to anybody else, and they do what they want based on hearsay. That is something that should be eliminated. The only way to eliminate that is
to eliminate government.
Well, that's another alternative, but unfortunately we're stuck with that for a while. But okay, I'm going to this point. If we don't follow the Constitution, what else do we have? It's the supreme law of the land, okay? And especially with regards to the Second Amendment. This is what really irks me, okay? I'm not a gun lover. I mean, I've had guns. I have the right to have a gun, to own a gun. Okay, fine. I'm not pro-violence or anything like this, but don't touch my right. It's a constitutional right. So if somebody takes away my First Amendment right, which is the right to free speech, government can't do that, right? They can't make any law regarding free speech. But how about my right to possess a firearm, okay, and protect myself, protect my family? I think any politician right now in government that does not protect and defend and uphold the Second Amendment should resign immediately.
What about those that don't protect the First Amendment?
Better yet, they should resign immediately. All those politicians.
I don't disaskar with you, and I wouldn't have a problem with I don't have a problem with torches, pitchforks, tar, and feathers. I mean, if that's what it takes to get these people back into line, I'd far prefer them not to do those things.
All we need to do.
All we need to do.
Grand juries together, grand juries, 25 people, and say, okay, this politician has said he doesn't support the Second Amendment. Gone right now. Resign, or impeach them.
Okay,
right,
so we're going to get a grand jury together. We're going to indict President Barack Obama. We're going to send the county sheriff together.
No, Barack Obama, I've seen him shooting a rifle, and I don't know about his Second Amendment right. I think he supports it.
What about all of the illegal wars that Barack Obama is having the military do? What about all of the innocent civilians?
Congress is the one that has to decide whether we go to war or not, right?
Okay, so we get the county sheriff to arrest Congress?
Why not? We get a grand jury together and we say, look, these people are fighting unlawful wars. They're deciding on wars, on creating wars that American people don't want.
We can't
add 500 people.
No, I'm on board. I say we arrest Congress.
300 million people?
He's
Come
right.
on.
I'm with him on that, but Ed, we have grand juries that will not even indict police officers that murder people in the middle of a street. So how do you think that you're going to...
There must not be enough evidence.
Well,
there must not be enough, or they're threatened.
I'm pretty sure there was a video.
Or they're threatened.
There was an article written by a former prosecutor that said that it's easier to indict a ham sandwich than a police officer because a grand jury will do whatever the prosecutor tells them to do. And a prosecutor, especially in cases where it's a government agent, they will overload them with evidence. What they're supposed to find out is there clear and convincing evidence to bring a charge, but yet they confuse them and make them think that they're trying to find evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. So I support the whole idea of arresting everybody that's a federal agent. Completely support it. I don't think it's ever going to happen using grand juries.
No, I say we let's like convene a grand jury here in Keene. We'll get like 25 people together, okay? And let's indict the entire Congress, and we'll bring our indictment to the Cheshire County Sheriff, and we'll go have him go to Washington D.C. and he will arrest 535 members of Congress and bring them.
He doesn't have competent jurisdiction to arrest in Washington. We have to go to Washington. And it has to be the police in Washington that does this.
Okay, so...
But if we can get a grand jury in Washington, okay, to decide...
So how do you just create your own grand jury? How does that happen?
How?
Yes, how do you create your own grand jury?
We just convene it wherever we want to convene it. In Washington, okay, there's evidence or there's facts or evidence that certain individuals in Congress and power are working against the Constitution somehow and trying to overthrow the Constitution. It's written, it's a document, and they're not supporting the Constitution, okay, and then just we convene the grand jury to decide the facts.
Now, Ed, you are aware of the group down in Texas, the Republic of Texas, where they created their own courts. They made up their own subpoenas and summonses and sent these out to people purporting them to be official legal documents. They wound up getting arrested for committing fraud. Do you think that the same thing would happen to the grand jury that is created by Ed in California?
Okay, who arrested them for fraud?
There was some state trooper, I believe it was. Ed, thank you so much for the call. Your calls are welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Also on Skype, LRN.FM. In studio tonight, it's Daryl, Cantwell, and Johnson. And we'll take your calls about anything.
Shiny badges on your jacket. Shiny badges.
This is Davi Barker from ShinyBadges.com, and I just want to personally apologize for airing a jingle week after week, month after month, that turned out to be such an infectious brainworm. So to make it up to you, I'm offering a free gift. The next time you make a purchase at ShinyBadges.com, write worms in the transaction comments, and I'll send you something weird.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
If the IRS has garnished your paycheck or seized money from your bank account, you need to get professional tax help now. Fast action is required to put a halt to these aggressive IRS collection tactics. You can count on the knowledgeable team of tax professionals at Wall & Associates. With over 30 years of experience, Wall & Associates has settled the tax problems of thousands of taxpayers for a small fraction of what they owed. For a free face-to-face consultation, call 1-800-425-4610 to put a wall between you and the IRS. 1-800-425-4610 or look for us on the web at wallandassociates.net. We solve tax problems. If you hire Wall & Associates today, never have to the IRS again. To stop the levies and seizures today, take action now. Call Wall & Associates at 1-800-425-4610. Wall & Associates, 1-800-425-4610. Based on actual cases, results may vary, not a solicitation for legal services.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Liberty activists around the country are starting to realize politics alone won't set us free. So what will? At Liberty on the Rocks, we believe the answer starts with living your principles, spreading ideas, and connecting with those around you. By starting a Liberty on the Rocks network, you can make a difference by uniting libertarian thinkers. Find out how much fun it is to build your local network from the ground up. Visit libertyontherocks.org today to get started.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We had an interesting conversation with Ed in California. He did bring up some really good points of, like Congress isn't following the Constitution. The president isn't following the Constitution. Well, they've not really been doing that for, I don't know, maybe like 200 years or so. So, why now do we finally, and, there's always the question of, well, why do you wait? And I do realize that it's one of those things to where it's the snowball going down a hill, to where each new snowflake isn't just an addition, it's a multiplication to the initial snowball. So by the time it gets to the bottom, it's a lot bigger than it was at the top. So, ultimately, yeah, you do have to do something, but I don't think that creating your own grand juries and attempting to citizens arrest members of Congress is really going to do anything, because you've got people that think that their system has legitimacy and they're going to arrest you for trying to arrest them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you go and you try to arrest Congress, that people are going to shoot at you.
Yes, and I guess that most of them would be Capitol Police. Some of them might be people that work for Congress that are not necessarily police.
Some of them might be congressmen.
True. Although,
I bet
if
those
you go
guys have
into their chamber...
I bet those guys have a far easier time getting a concealed weapons permit in Washington, D.C. than I would.
Yeah. But I do have something that is somewhat related. It's from the Ron Paul Institute for Peace and Prosperity. Norm Singleton, who worked for years as the legislative director for former Representative Ron Paul, provided a very revealing account on Tuesday of the terrible way the USA Patriot Act was moved quickly to passage by a huge majority of votes in the U.S. House of Representatives and Senate in October of 2001. Singleton was talking to some sort of subcommittee of people that work for Congress. He wasn't actually talking to a congressional committee. I watched the video. I'll post the link on the Facebooks, the Twitters, and the Google Pluses for Free Talk Live so that you can find that, watch the video for yourself.
You can't have Facebooks. You can't have Facebooks that's against their terms of service, Daryl. You're breaking the contract.
I just like to pluralize things that generally aren't pluralized, like Skypes.
Yeah,
anything involved with the internet, because Daryl idolizes
the internets. I want there to be multiple internets.
I do too.
I want there to be as many internets as there are people.
There are in fact many internets if we actually lowercase the I.
Right.
Wait, what?
If the I is lowercase, then there are actually a great many interconnected networks, which is what internets are. The internet, when we refer to the internet, we're referring to a very specific interconnected
internet of
network.
internets.
Yes.
So that's supposed to be a capital I? I never knew that.
Yeah, when you say the internet, you should capitalize the I.
Right.
I never knew that, and I don't think I've ever actually seen it capitalized.
Almost nobody does it.
Right.
But when you say the internet, you're referring to something's name, the name of a particular institution, as it were.
So if I say the Johnson Rice, then it's
a fictitious thing that I'm going to use in lowercase in court.
You're saying it in all capital because he's a corporation and he's a corporation.
Yeah, if it's in all caps, then it's not a real person. But if I do something and use a colon and brackets, then somehow it is,
because you understand. That means you stand under their jurisdiction, man.
Yeah. So anyway, Norma Singleton, a man that I've actually met and hung out with, he's a very nice guy. He was talking to some committee made up of people that work for members of Congress.
What use is that?
What use is what?
He's a very nice guy.
Well, he is a nice
guy. What? He's a very nice guy. Why is he nice? Did he buy you a cup of coffee? Did he rub your shoulders? What?
No, just like he's pleasant to be around.
Okay.
He will have a conversation with you about pretty much anything. And he's not one of these libertarians that's like, oh, you watch football, so therefore you're supporting the slave state, blah, blah, blah. He'll actually watch a football game.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, football is nice.
Yeah. So anyway, let me continue here. Singleton, who is currently the vice president of policy at the Campaign for Liberty, made the comments as a panelist in a Washington, D.C. congressional briefing regarding the Surveillance State Repeal Act introduced this week by Representative Mark Pocan and Thomas Macy from Wisconsin and Kentucky, respectively. Singleton explained not only was the USA Patriot Act rushed through, but members of the House of Representatives literally did not have time to read the bill before it was voted on. There was a version different from that which passed out of the Judiciary Committee that was introduced. He says, quote, I believe the morning of the bill's consideration in Rules Committee, and then the vote was less than maybe 3 or 4 hours afterwards. And you're talking about a bill this large that's not even available on the internet until almost right before the vote. There's no way that a single member of Congress who voted for the bill could say, I know what I was doing when I voted for this bill.
And how long ago did the Downsized DC Foundation, how long ago was it that they actually came up with this Read the Bills Act that has gone absolutely nowhere?
About 10 years.
Yeah.
They were formed in either 03 or 04.
I mean, this is how little engagement there is of the general American public with their government. It's generally a known fact that your government doesn't even read the bills that they're passing. Like the laws that are going into effect, no one's reading them. No one cares.
Not only is no one reading them, but some of them, they are impossible to read. And I say impossible to read not because of the length, but because they reference so many other statutes,
right,
and they don't actually say what they're going to do. They just say, amend section this, that, the other thing, part 37B to change the word and to or, and add this, and then the director shall make a policy regarding. So they pass these things where they're not even the ones that are writing the policies that are to be implemented. So even if you do read the 1,000-page of the Patient Protection Affordable Care Act, there's no way to know what it was actually going to do because there are literally dozens of times that it refers to as prescribed by the secretary, referring to Secretary of Health and Human Services.
Right.
So Norm Singleton continues here. He says, afterwards, looking at the bill, one of the things that we noticed in our office was that a lot of the bill was very familiar. It was stuff that the Justice Department had on a wish list of increased powers that they were unable to get through a Republican Congress in the 90s. They took advantage of never let a crisis go to waste. They took their wish list off the shelf and packaged it as anti-terrorism. There were members on the floor during the debate actually saying if we don't pass this law immediately, there's going to be a series of terrorist attacks. So, this explains why we no longer have habeas corpus, if it ever really existed in the first place. And Chris, I think you made a good, compelling point that maybe it did not exist in the American colonies because there were people that were burned as witches. There were other people that were, killed for various other reasons, various offenses, whether guilty or not. Just somebody said they were, and all right, kill them.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't possibly have evidence, right? You could not possibly have had clear and convincing, much less beyond a reasonable doubt evidence that somebody was a witch, right? That is not a situation where you possibly could have proven that, if there's
she didn't float.
If his statement is that it can't be hearsay, well, then how would someone be executed for heresy, right? You can't prosecute someone for something that they said against the doctrine of the church without someone coming in and saying, I heard him say that. It's one of these legal precedents that, is sort of done to give some false air of legitimacy to a legal system that says, no, we're not just throwing you in a cage because we feel like it. We have all of these procedures behind it.
Yeah, and one thing that I guess some people that support the whole government system would say is, well, that was a private trial to where you had someone that went before the church. They were found guilty in the church's court. They weren't found guilty in government court. So that was different. You don't have rights in private court.
Well, the separation of church and state is a more recent phenomenon than that, I believe. The government court was the church court and vice versa.
To some extent, in some places. So, like there were some places where obviously the church was not the state government, and some places to where the state government was not the church. But we will take your calls about anything in hour 2 coming up after the news, 855 450 free, or on the Skypes, lrn.fm. And if you have Skype, use it. Sounds better.
I did it. I finally left the empire behind. And now that I'm safely settled in Chile, I'm gathering with others like me to build a new community called Fort Galt. Fort Galt is designed to be the ideal home base for professionals and their families to live and work in peace. If you're ready to ditch the superstate and bring your business to freer lands, visit us online at fortgalt.com. That's fortgalt.com.
Kay Oliver is part of the Twayambe Women's Group in Jinja, Uganda. She gets old clothes, fixes them up, washes them, and then sells them at the Jinja market. She was quite happy with her success at her business, but realized that a sewing machine would really help her make more money to take care of her 2 kids. Free Talk Live helped her get that sewing machine. You can help us help more people by getting your coffee through coffee.freetalklive.com. Make a difference, 1 cup at a time. Get a free pound, try out the subscription, cancel at any time, coffee.freetalklive.com.
New Hampshire is under quarantine as walking corpses devour the flesh of the living. Max is 11 years old and surviving alone. Slow-moving and non-thinking, the dead swarm his home. Now he must apply his Porcupine Freedom Scouts training to improvise his escape. Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, or read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darrell W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, March 27th, 2015. Silver is trading at $17.14 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,202 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $248. Antiwar.com reports the White House has confirmed that they are in contact with the Saudi Arabian government and coordinating with them on the ongoing attack and pending invasion of Yemen. The scope of U.S. involvement in the war is still being fleshed out, but for now, President Obama has authorized the Pentagon to provide logistical and intelligence support to the Saudis, according to the National Security Council officials. General Lloyd Austin said U.S. military forces will also take steps to ensure that Bab el-Mandeb Strait off the Yemen coast remains open during the war. The strait is a key choke point for oil shipments to Europe. Saudi warplanes began carrying out airstrikes on Yemen on Wednesday, and they have some 150,000 ground troops massed at the border, anticipating an invasion at some point in the near future.
Coinbase is a simple and secure online Bitcoin wallet for sending, receiving, and storing Bitcoin. Coinbase also allows you to buy and sell Bitcoin using a bank account or use their tools to accept Bitcoin as a merchant. Opening a wallet is quick and easy, and for merchants, there are no transaction fees on the first $1 million worth of transactions. Get started at coinbase.fppradio.com.
UPI reports a report released by the Justice Department's watchdog group on Thursday revealed DEA agents abroad participated in sex parties with prostitutes funded by drug cartels for a period of several years. 7 of the 10 DEA agents involved, most of whom held top-secret clearance, admitted to attending the parties, and some were suspended as a result, according to the Justice Department's Inspector General report. The report did not specify where the parties occurred, but many news outlets have said they took place in Colombia. The 131-page report by the Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz said many of these agents were alleged to have been engaged in this high-risk sexual behavior while at the government-leased quarters, raising the possibility that DEA equipment and information also may have been compromised as a result of the agents' conduct. The report, a review of sexual misconduct allegations in the DOJ's 4 law enforcement agencies, found widespread mismanagement at the DEA, the FBI, the U.S. Marshal Service, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. The investigation came in response to 2012 allegations that the Secret Service and DEA agents used prostitutes in Cartagena, Colombia. Overall, the report linked the law enforcement agencies to 26 allegations during a 4-year period that ended in 2012. Of that, the DEA was involved in 19. For over 35 years, Roberts & Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports 3 Missouri police agencies have agreed to restrict the use of tear gas as part of a settlement of a lawsuit alleging that officers used heavy-handed tactics to quell protests in Ferguson after a police officer fatally shot an unarmed teenager. The settlement requires police to warn demonstrators and give them reasonable time to disperse before using tear gas or other chemical agents in response to non-criminal activity. U.S. District Court Judge Carol Jackson dismissed the case formally on Thursday, but retained jurisdiction through 2017 to enforce the settlement terms. The settlement follows along the lines of an order Jackson entered in December. Police are not required to warn or give time to disperse when there is an imminent threat of bodily harm, damage to property, or if law enforcers must defend themselves. Protest followed the shooting in August of Michael Brown during a confrontation with Ferguson police officer Darren Wilson and a grand jury's decision in November not to indict Wilson. Demonstrators had said police arrived at peaceful protest wearing riot gear and equipped with armored vehicles and used tear gas, pepper spray, and rubber bullets to disperse the crowds. The lawsuit was brought by a coffee house owner, 2 co-founders of an area activist organization, a legal observer, a professor of St. Louis University, and a college student. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
North, an extremely vocal opponent of gay marriage, drew fire during his 2010 re-election campaign for saying that the legalization of gay marriage would lead to man-horse marriages. In one instance, he told the New Haven Register, quote, "It's a slippery slope. If we allow 2 men to marry, what's next? Men marrying horses?" But yesterday, North found himself at the center of a media firestorm when the New York Times published photos of North on what appears to be romantic outings with a horse. Gathered during the Times' 2-month investigation, the pictures show North in almost a dozen locations with the same 3-year-old mare. A former aide discovered links to numerous horse-related sites, including phillyfreaks.com and hothindquarters.com on North's work computer. The Times is accusing North of using federal funds to pay for luxurious trips, including a 3-night stay at the high-end Sueños stables in Catalonia, Spain last month. North released a statement yesterday claiming he only spent time with the horse twice while conducting research for his anti-gay marriage project.
This is the Onion News Network.
This is Free Talk Live, kicking off hour number 2 in studio tonight. It's Daryl,
Cantwell,
and Johnson,
and
Speaking
we will
of
take
number 2.
We'll take your calls about whatever is on your mind. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Or if you have Skype, it generally sounds better. I say generally because there are times when, your bandwidth might not be the greatest. Like if you're trying to upload or download things, pause the uploading and the downloading when you call in on the Skypes. And we are now going to the Skype. Philip is calling in, wants to talk to Cantwell about abortion.
Goody.
Philip,
yeah, Chris,
you're on the air.
Chris, as one anti-female supremacy a-hole to another, I just gotta say I have a lot of respect for you.
Well, thank you very much. I don't hear that too frequently.
Yes. Well, I've heard Mark talk about this before, but we're faced in a situation in our current situation of laws where the woman has the so-called right to choose whether or not basically she wants to be a mother or a mother again up until a certain point in the process. But the man is kind of hamstrung, and if the mom wants as a kid, then you're basically held hostage for the next 18 years for some arbitrary amount or whatever formula that you have to pay into the system to take care of this kid. Now, I've heard Mark talk about this before, but I'm interested in what your solution is about this inequity.
So I am staunchly anti-abortion. I think that abortion is a horrific act of violence that nobody has any right to engage in, and to commit murder against a helpless child who hasn't even been born yet is a terrible thing. If you don't want to get pregnant, there are ways of avoiding that. And I get so frustrated at hearing people talk about this in the terms of choice. I don't think that that's what it is. I don't believe in laws to punish people who engage in abortions, because we don't have agency in the matter. But I believe that a father has some obligation to a child. I don't think that it's incorrect to hold him to some obligation to provide for the child. He's as much a part of that child's life as the mother is. The problem, as I see it, is that women are murdering their babies with the help of the medical practitioners, and that's the problem.
See, I've got a totally different view on it. That might be a solution for you, which is that I don't believe in abortion, but I would call myself pro-choice. And it's not that I believe in abortion, but I believe in a woman's choice to take that fetus and remove it from her womb, and then let whatever may happen. Now, if you're religious and you are completely against, you want to say that that's murder, or whatever your idea that might be there, in terms of removing the fetus from the womb, well, then it's on your church and your organization to start funding the science necessary to put these, fetuses in artificial wombs. We're at that level of technology pretty much within the next 2-3 years,
and
almost.
even without aborting the child, the mother can give up her parental rights to the child by putting the child up for adoption. And I know that in some places there are ways in which a father can go through a process
to waive his parental rights to a child.
Right, but there are a lot of women that don't want to go through labor. Like they don't want to bring they don't want to raise, a fetus to term and push a baby out of there. They don't want to push a watermelon through some the size of a lemon.
I want to hear from the caller, and then I'm going to rip your evictionism argument apart.
Okay,
Go
sure.
ahead, sir.
Let's do that.
Let me throw my idea out there. I believe that to the extent that we have this thing called a constitution, and it says that people, whoever that is, have equal rights. I think that applies to a child, and as such, I think abortion is tantamount to murder. But while we got this system that abortion is so-called legal, I'm just frustrated with the inequality that men are left with. And I think Mark Edge had the solution that up until like maybe a week or so, or a reasonable period before the woman has the so-called right to make this choice, the guy should be able to say, hey, I don't want anything to do with this kid's life. I don't want any of the financial obligation. If you want to bring this kid into the world, you're on your own. I'm out. And that way the man also has the option to basically not be held hostage financially.
I don't know where equal rights are in the Constitution. I haven't seen that. All men are created equal, and then God starts playing favorites, if you will. But and as an atheist, I don't actually have a whole use for God playing favorites. But you get the idea. We are not, men and women are not equals. Two men are not equals. That's a ridiculous concept. People don't have equal rights. People have rights based on, if they have rights at all, they have rights based on property, whatever they have acquired.
But should those rights not be applied equally under the law?
Depending on, no, and not entirely, because men and women are not the same animals, and to treat them the same is just silly. So the way the laws are formulated right now is that laws are interfering in things where men and women are necessarily unequal, right? The laws shouldn't be interfering in any of these matters, and thus, the answer to the problem is for them to get the hell out of it. But when you're dealing in matters of the family, the court there is necessarily going to have to, if it's going to act, it's going to have to act in an unequal fashion, right? Men and women are not the same species in a family.
Right. Well, you're talking about family court here. I'm talking about just in general. If two people are assaulted, that obviously means that at least one or possibly two other people are alleged to have committed the act of assault. Should not the people that are charged with the acts of assault be treated equally in the court under the law?
No,
you must both be proven beyond a reasonable doubt to have committed this offense.
Well, it should have the same standard of evidence, sure, but I think that I don't have a problem, for example, with the fact that a man who assaults a woman is infinitely more likely to suffer a greater punishment than a woman who assaults a man. I think it's a greater crime for a man to assault a woman than it is for a woman to assault a man. It's a very serious crime for a woman to assault a man. It needs to be taken more seriously. People don't take it seriously at all, but I don't think it's entirely inappropriate that there's a disproportionate penalty here, because there's a vast power disparity when you talk about a 250-pound man punching a woman in the face versus some girl who sort of gets upset because it's that time of the month and she decides to smack somebody.
Right, but I'm not talking about the charge being a different charge. I'm talking about the rules of court. Should they not be applied equally?
Well, but then what you start is, do they apply equally? And then I give the example of where it doesn't apply equally, and then you say, well, I'm talking about something else. So the answer to the question is the law doesn't treat people equally, and there's no reason to expect that it ever would.
Should some people not have to be found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt? Based on whatever, arbitrary black, white, male, female, transgender, whatever. Should some people not have to be found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt? That would be equal application of the law.
Well, let's get back to my question here.
Yeah.
Right now in the current system that we have, we have men and women that are being treated unequally. Women get to basically decide whether or not they want to be a mother, and men have no choice in the matter. What if anything should be done about that?
I think There's not a political solution to that problem. The idea is to let markets figure this out and people sign up for their own justice systems at the end of the day. People are going to, in the absence of the state, sign up for what suits them in the market environment. And that's ultimately the problem to it. Dealing with the situation that we're in now, I don't have a problem with a man being held to account for when he knocks a woman up. If you don't want to lock a woman up, then wear a condom or don't have sex with her.
I'm going to have to hear you rip apart this evictionism argument, because what I think is I think if the woman always has a right to evict a fetus from her womb, then the man always has the right to say, no, I'm not taking part. And if you want to have a child, you go for it. But I'm abdicating my responsibility here, and you've got the same choice. And if you want to take care of it, you go right ahead.
The world that we live in is decaying because of people abdicating their responsibilities. Until people start stepping up and being responsible for their things, especially their reproductive habits.
But it doesn't have to happen. If in other words, if she could say, no, I don't want to do this, both parties are able to say no, like they don't want to, we don't want to procreate. It takes two to do that.
You guys can hash this out in the next segment when we come back on Free Talk Live. And, of course, your calls are welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
My thing, you cost me a lot of misery, and all total, $2,700 in doggy fees, and all it took was one container of Dynamite, 2 pounds, 3 ounces, and my dog has been cured. Abby's a 5-year-old Silky Terrier. She had, chicken pox on her belly, clusters of bumps on her back, and she was allergic to, 70-some-odd things. So the dermatologist, it was, oh, yeah, just keep giving her needles every 10 days. But she's not clearing up. And then it came up on my radio, Dynamite. DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
And I was like, oh, that's it. I give her the Dynamite after 5 weeks. And one morning, there was nothing there. And I'm like, oh, my God, she's all clear. There wasn't one blemish on her body. Her fur is beautiful. She is totally happy. She is healthy, bump-free, pimple-free, shiny, silky. It turned our lives around. So thank you very much for Dynamite. I couldn't be happier. Dynamite's the bomb.
859-428-1000. 859-428-1000. DINOVITE.com.
Gold. It's like nothing else on Earth. From the Romans through the Renaissance, from the Industrial Age to the Space Age, gold has weathered the test of time. For 6,000 years, gold has remained the ultimate store of wealth. According to the World Gold Council and the U.S. Mint, demand is at an all-time high. The stage is being set for the reemergence of gold as the common-sense alternative to a fiat paper currency that gets weaker every day. Midas Resources is proud to offer the hard-hitting report that arms you with the truth you need to protect you and your family from the Fed's plans for your hard-earned money. Don't gamble with your future. Call Midas Resources today and ask for your free copy of As Good as Gold. Call 1-800-686-2237 for the report the Fed hopes you'll never see. As Good as Gold can be yours by calling 800-686-2237. If you have ever thought about owning gold, you must read this report. Call Midas today at 800-686-2237.
You know how annoying it is when someone keeps stopping mid-sentence as though he or she were asking you a series of questions? Avoid doing that. It sounds unnervingly tentative, and it imposes upon the listener to help you complete the thought. And if you're a job seeker, this alone could be a deal killer. An effective communicator sounds more confident. Complete the thought. Avoid making the listener impatient. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. Cutting through the clutter rather than blending into the blah, blah, blah will help you connect better no matter what the conversation. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook. Survivalspeech.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com. I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855 450 free. That's the toll-free call-in line, 855-450-3733. Where are Mark and Ian? You ask yourself. Well, they're in Texas. Have you heard about Bitcoin? Well, you've heard about blockchains, right? But what does it all mean for you? Well, you can attend the second annual Texas Bitcoin Conference at the Moody Theater in downtown Austin, Texas on March 28th and 29th to find out. Keynote speakers include world-famous investors, economist, and author George Gilder. This is the guy that practically created Reaganomics. Also, IBM's architect of the blockchain technology, Sambala Nair, will be flying in from India. David Johnston, Robert Murphy, Charlie Shrem, and many other speakers are still getting lined up. This is the biggest Bitcoin event going on, especially since the second annual Texas Bitcoin Conference will also be hosting the second $1 million Bitcoin 2.0 hackathon. If you want a glimpse into the future, going even beyond Bitcoin, you want to be in Austin, Texas this weekend, March 28th and 29th. So there's still time if you are within driving or flying distance of Austin, Texas. You still have time to get there. Head over to texasbitcoinconference.com to get tickets. And if you use the code FTL, you will get a $25 discount off the $150 admission price, which is a very affordable ticket for these kinds of events. And not only that, the Texas Bitcoin Conference will be donating $25 to Sean's Outpost with every ticket purchase when you use code FTL. So you're getting an amazing price to a one-of-a-kind event, and now you're also helping Sean's Outpost with their outreach and assistance to the homeless. Free Talk Live was there last year, and they're there again this year. Mark and Ian will be broadcasting live Saturday and Sunday from the Texas Bitcoin Conference. They're excited to be part of it. Head over to texasbitcoinconference.com. Get your tickets to be part of the future. Now, Johnson, you and Chris were sort of hashing out some kind of, I don't know if disagreement would be the right term to use.
Like
It's definitely a term that would be applicable. And basically, you're taking sort of a Rothbardian stand of a mother has the right to evict basically an unborn child from her uterus. And Chris, you're taking the position that she does not have that right, but you're not advocating what some people advocate who take that position, to where they would say, well, I would use deadly force to prevent her from doing that.
Right. So if anybody wants to get this really in depth from me, you can go to ChristopherCantwell.com. Just search for abortion, and you'll find an article there titled "Abortion, Evictionism, and Abortion." So what Johnson is talking about has been the term for this has been coined as evictionism, where you're saying, okay, infant, okay, fetus, you're going to get out of my body right now because it's my body, my choice, and the idea being that you don't have the right to kill the infant, but you can evict the infant from your womb because it's yours, and then if the infant dies afterwards, well, that's sort of the infant's problem. You're not under any obligation to take care of the child. And this is one of the most horrific things that I have heard in the course of my study of libertarianism, and it goes back to Rothbard. Walter Block had made the case at a Ron Paul event during the Ron Paul campaign, of all things. It was horrific that this idea that a parent goes and has some sex, goes and enjoys themselves and knows exactly where babies come from, and all of a sudden finds themselves, in the custody of another person's life. And they are under the impression that carries no responsibility
there's a huge jump to this
with it
being
whatsoever.
A person.
Well, if it's not
a potential person.
If it's not a person, then why bother with the evictionism in the first place?
It's a potential person.
Okay, so if it's a potential person, and this is not a thing, this is not if you're taking the premise that it's not a person yet, then why do you even bother with the evictionism thing? Why not just go straight to abortion and kill it?
So this is sort of for the people that believe that it is a person.
Okay, so you're scamming them. You don't believe that it's a person, so it's perfectly
They believe
okay
that
to
it's a
kill
person, so it's like if you feel it's a person, then you take responsibility for it.
Well,
that's your belief. It's not the belief of the person who was willing to get the abortion. It's the belief of the people saying, no, it's murder. That ball of cells that has absolutely no intelligence whatsoever, much less than even your cat, is somehow supposed to be protected because it got the random designation human.
We do not know what is going on, what consciousness a fetus has, right? We don't have that information.
There are some
right?
people that say that people don't have consciousness until like the age of 5, so therefore you can kill your toddler.
Yeah, this has literally been
sure,
seriously proposed that like you can have post-birth abortions, right? People actually believe this stuff. So I mean, we can very quickly get into really horrific scenarios when we start down this path. But let's just I'll address the evictionism thing. So I can't go ahead. I don't want to get into the is it a person thing. Let's work with evictionism for now.
Make it quick because we do have a caller.
Okay, so the idea that I have here is that the reason that
we're going to have a lot of callers after this discussion.
The reason that I don't favor abortion laws is because we have no agency. The society at large has no agency in the relationship between the mother and the child. If you are living in a free society and somebody if you want to hire people to protect you, you can do that, and of course, that makes a great deal of sense. The child is in this unfortunate position that it has not contracted with anybody outside. So while the mother necessarily has no right to kill her child, the society at large has no right to go after the mother because they're not party to the relationship between the mother and the child. Now, one might make the argument using that thought process that the father does, and that's a philosophical question that I haven't entirely answered yet, but the idea that you create no obligation at all by creating a life inside you, that's I think that's really horrific. I think that it's totally irresponsible, and I think that it's one of the many symptoms of the moral decay of this society that leads to all the problems that we face today.
Johnson, I'll give you a real quick rebuttal, and then we will take the call.
I mean, there's not really anything to rebut there. I don't believe it's like, oh, okay, it's life. It's like, oh, well then, it's like every time, I'm, pleasuring myself, it's a Holocaust. It's like, it's not, it's cells. Sorry, the tumor I had, it's like I had cancer, I had a tumor removed. Oh, it's life. That to me is nonsense.
Really becomes,
what to me is life is the life of, a mother who's been raped or whatever, and now she's got this fetus growing inside of her, and she doesn't want to carry it to term. Should her life be, that's a real life to me. I'm sorry, life of somebody who has actual consciousness and has been walking around the planet and can make decisions and says, I'm alive, don't hurt me. That's a real life.
In the case of somebody who's been raped, you can make the argument that this has been visited upon them without their consent, okay? But when we're talking about consensual sex and women using abortion as birth control, that's a horrific
what about the
situation.
woman who lies to the man?
What about the woman who lies to the man?
Yeah. Wasn't his consent. She used fraud.
Okay.
So
the woman lied to the man and gained his consent.
So if abortion is okay in the case of rape, why would it not be okay in the case of the woman lied?
That's essentially rape. The man is going to abort the woman's baby?
We can hash this out when we come back on Free Talk Live.
By now, you may have heard a bit about Bitcoins, but did you know Bitcoins are now over an $8.5 billion market? And did you know that over 65,000 businesses now accept Bitcoins? Listen, if you're already earning Bitcoins or trying to make money in the Bitcoin market, you've got to know bidbit.co. Why? Because bidbit.co is where you can easily receive Bitcoins by selling and auctioning off your own personal items or promote business products and services for Bitcoins. You heard right. Whether personal or business, you can now buy, sell, and auction your products and services quickly, easily, and securely for Bitcoin at bidbit.co, the first and only marketplace website to offer BidBit Escrow, a proprietary technology which gives buyers and sellers security and peace of mind because all transactions are protected. Start today. It's free to join, free to post, free to auction, and free to bid at bidbit.co. Buy, sell, bid, or auction everything Bitcoin. That's www.bidbit.co, bidbit.co.
Free Talk Live.
I cannot imagine anyone ever calling a cigarette interdiction hotline.
That'd be great.
What would that conversation be like?
Well, I'm calling because I can't stop smoking.
Sir, do you have a cigarette right now?
Well, yes.
Is it lit?
Uh-huh.
Okay, you have an ashtray?
Yes.
Okay, you know when you're done with your cigarette and you put it out?
Uh-huh.
Okay, try that right now.
But it's not.
Go ahead and do that same motion.
Can you imagine the conversations?
What the hell could they possibly
Is it 24 hours?
I just don't get
Just
it.
someone call him. I can't do it anymore.
It's dumb.
I smoked the whole pack of cigarettes.
I only get motivated at 3 a.m. Help me out. There's nobody there?
I've smoked all my money away, and now my wife's left me, and she took the dog and the kids. I got no money left. I've smoked it all.
I was breaking into my neighbors' houses and pawning their TVs for more cigarettes.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross may be spending the rest of his life in prison. His family is planning to appeal his conviction, but they need your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Ross needs your help now more than ever. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org. You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's the toll-free call-in line, 855-450-3733. There's also the Skype. So if you have
Skype, then generally you will sound better, assuming that you have a good data connection
and a good microphone. I don't think that was the case with the last caller.
Yeah, so we did have the one caller, and I had to keep turning him down because there was a lot of background noise that was coming through on his Skype call. Hopefully, Howard has a better connection. Howard, you are on Free Talk Live.
Yo, Daryl and Cantwell and
Johnson.
Johnson knows I drink, so that explains my hesitation in remembering his name. Sorry, buddy.
No problem.
Thanks.
I have no idea who you are, so
yeah, I know.
He's in the exact same boat.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good show tonight, though. I just had a few comments. Like when Daryl, when you say the Skype show, that is funny because it reminds me, like, it sounds like an old person, because I have that Irish Alzheimer's. I ripped this joke off from another comic, but I forget everything but the grudges.
I will say your voice is extremely familiar to me, though. I know I've heard you before, so.
It's Howie. I'm crazy. I've called in a lot in the past.
Okay.
Sorry. But yeah, that that was fun. That was funny. Another comment, but really, I want to talk to Chris. Why don't they make vaporizer juice more powerful than 24 milligrams? Because I just got into it and I really enjoy it, but I just think it would be better if they made it stronger.
Yeah, you can actually buy. Yeah, when I first switched, I ended up ordering online because I'd gotten, I think the highest I could buy at the place I was buying from was like 16 or 18 actually, and then I went online and I found out that I could order 36 milligrams. So you can
no
get.
way. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, you can get it higher than 24, but
shots?
very.
What do you think?
Very few places sell anything higher than 24, like in a brick and mortar store. You got to go. Vapor for Life is one. I used to go to a place called Absolutely E-Cigs, which is a Chinese vendor, is very inexpensive. But you can get it up to 36. You can get it at 32 or 36. I think are the two other common strengths if you shop around online.
Well, I'll look for that because I've been using like Mount Vapor and another place called like Viper or something, and I don't get the seeping things. Like it takes time for the vapor to develop because they mix it so freshly. But I don't want to make this into the vapor show. But thanks for taking my call. Really, I had a question for you guys.
Okay, what's the question?
He's like, I have a friend, and he's he's only like in his mid-50s, but he's like abused his body so much where it's the point where he has to go to dialysis like twice a week, and his life is going to crap, and he's so like, he'll start telling me stuff like how he's so frustrated with things, and then he starts saying how he starts talking crazy stuff like how he wants to hurt people. Like, I don't know how to handle it. I'm not going to go to the cops. I know the police aren't going to help somebody. I don't know what to tell them.
Well, I mean,
what do I do? I try to tell them.
It sort of depends on the circumstances.
How bad your life gets. You do not hurt innocent people. I mean, you do the best you can and you keep trying. I don't know. It's not working. So
do you think that he is actually a threat to other people, or is he just talking about it?
That's when I wonder also, is it all just like a thing to get attention?
Have you asked him?
Well, no, but I do know he's kind of crazy, though. I mean,
well, he talks crazy. You see him acting crazy? Does he act out? Does he do things?
No, he's not locked up right now, but in the past he has. Like, yeah, he will if he's pushed far enough. I mean, I don't know,
Yeah, I mean, it sounds to me like you got a pretty serious problem there. I mean, I suppose it depends on what it is that he's so upset about. Does he just hate his own life, or is it the society at large, or does he have a more specific problem?
Well, he's has health problems, so I think he thinks he's dying. It's probably true. I mean, the doctors tell you don't have more than 5 years on the planet, but he hasn't quit smoking. He hasn't done anything to do anything to improve his life. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe it is just manipulative.
I mean, if he's in a spot where he's going to die in 5 years, whether he quits smoking or not, I don't blame him for not going through a nicotine fit. But maybe you get him some of that 36 milligram e-cig fluid and get him doing that. And I tell you what, when I managed to kick that habit, it did a lot for my psyche. I'm still a nicotine junkie, but even just the idea that I could quit smoking cigarettes made me feel like I was more in control of my life. I had the exact same situation when I quit. When I lost a bunch of weight, I was like, wow, I always thought that I was just getting older and getting fatter, and there was nothing I could do. And then I lost some weight, and I said, wow, I actually have some control. How much weight did you lose? Like over 45 pounds.
In how long of a period?
I mean, I started the low carb thing, I don't know, several months ago.
Okay.
But I lost a bunch of weight when I first moved back to New Hampshire. Just, I don't know, sort of made some healthier choices and was a little bit more active. And then I lost like 15 pounds. I didn't even realize I had lost it until somebody told me that I looked like I lost weight, and I got on the scale, and then I did the low carb thing, and I dropped like another 30. But now I'm like, I've still been doing the low carb thing, and I'm unable to drop this last like 15 pounds that I would like to get rid of, and now I'm about to cheat on that and eat the first pizza I've had in like 6 months.
I heard Penn Jillette talking about having lost like 80 pounds in about 90 days.
Oh yeah, have you seen the pictures?
I have.
Yeah,
he did some sort of like a vegan thing, and I'm kind of trying to do like a pescatarian type thing. I've eaten seafood a couple times.
Penn Jillette looks like that weight loss looks unhealthy.
It's amazing that he could do that without getting one of those lap band procedures. But if I could say something, just if you give me a few minutes, thanks for keeping me on so long. But Chris, I really before you came on a Free Talk Live, all I knew about you was from what I read. And I didn't know you. And I know that you are the way you are. But once you came on Free Talk Live, I saw a totally different side of you. You still give people crap. Like if somebody asks you how you're doing when they call on the show, you're snarky and that's cool. But the thing is, when I saw you go through a time where you looked at yourself, and a lot of those blogs that you wrote were really honest. And that's where I really started to see you, where you talked about your drinking. You talked about these issues and stuff. So, I'm just trying to say that I have a chance to talk to you guys now. So I just wanted to mention that. But I think you're good on the air, and I don't, I'm just glad to have you as a host now. But
well, thank you.
Just saying,
Free Talk Live has been sort of an opportunity for me to do a little bit of rebranding, right? I mean, I sort of came onto the scene as a really angry guy, and I still am, And I read there's an article on my website titled "My Path to Radical Libertarianism," which will sort of tell you exactly how the character of ChristopherCantwell.com came to be, and the idea was, I'd always sort of had a knack for telling people off, and I started to do YouTube rants about political and social issues, and sort of it was a character that there was a good deal of development went into. And what ended up happening over the course of time was this started impacting my real life. I never thought anybody was going to care, and as that started happening, I was like, okay, well, if this is going to come into my real life, then I guess I'll start sharing my real life with people. And it's met with some mixed results, but I like the opportunity that I've had on FTL to sort of to do a little bit of rebranding, if you will.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, guys. Thanks for listening to me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, pal.
Thanks for the call, Howard.
I don't know. I got to agree with how when people ask you how you're doing and they call in a radio show and they ask how you're doing, it's just get to the point. This is not what the radio show's about. And one of my favorite responses is there's a radio show host by the name of Ron Bennington, and constantly people will call in the show and ask, hey, how you doing? He always responds with, yeah. And he responds hey, Ron, how you doing? Yeah. And then they move on with their point. Somehow that magical response, he didn't even answer them, but somehow magically answering gets them to talk about what they originally called in to talk about.
Well, what Ian always does, he says, go ahead with your thoughts. And I started going into giving them sob stories. I'm like, it burns when I pee. Do you have any advice? But then that became a bit. Then people were calling and asking how I was doing more, and I had to stop doing it.
My favorite is, hey guys, what's up? Ian always says, we're doing a radio show. What's on your mind? And what's on your mind? 855-450-FREE. That's the toll-free call-in line. Free Talk Live.
Hey, it's Mark of Free Talk Live, and I want to tell you about a new way to be prepared for emergencies. Not just big emergencies, but little ones too. It's a source of backup power, so small that I can put it in my pocket or the glove box in my car, but it's so powerful that it can actually jumpstart a bus if I need it to. Sounds crazy, but it's not. I'm talking about a breakthrough in portable power technology called the Pocket Power Plus. If you get stranded in an airport, in your car, or you just want to go off the grid for a while, the Pocket Power Plus becomes your own personal mini power plant. Run pretty much any kind of electronic device for for hours, even days if you need to. The Pocket Power Plus can also deliver an enormous supply of on-demand power that can jumpstart almost any vehicle, even in the coldest winter days. Comes with free jumper cables and an accessory pack. Best part, my listeners can now get Pocket Power Plus for half price by going to PocketPowerPlus9.com. That's PocketPowerPlus9.com. Use coupon code FTL to save even more. Go to PocketPowerPlus9.com, PocketPowerPlus9.com, coupon code FTL.
So who else will you meet at the Get Prepared Expo? For starters, from Republic Broadcasting, John Moore and John Statmiller. From GCN, Aaron and Brad Dakins, Joyce Riley, and me, Vincent Finelli. Joining us are the instructors whom you've learned to trust. Surgeon of the Year, Dr. Norman Shealy. Engineer, Matt Stein. The real Fox Mulder of the X-Files, Dr. Richard Allen Miller. Author and analyst, Captain John Reagan. Your counterterrorist from Central America, Mike Ma. Dental Center owner and my dentist, Dr. Howard Shane. Radiation instructor, Craig Douglas. Author and survivalist, Rich Sheben. Author, Judy Dollarheight. Cancer Center owner from Mexico, Dr. Patrick Vickers. Bug out expert and pilot, Captain Bill Sermo. Beekeeper, Jeff Maddox. Seedsman, Mike Knox. Author, Gayla Pruitt. Author, Harry Cooper. Food expert, Joe Acapinti. And Bill Whaley, the Junk Man. March 27, 28, and 29. GetPreparedExpo.com, the largest preparedness and survival expo in the USA.
Are you getting squeezed by the economic downturn? Hey, you were doing fine. Then, all of a sudden, you're having a tough time paying your family's credit card bills. Maybe you were downsized or even lost a job, but you still owe 10 grand or more in credit card bills. And you just can't afford the minimum payments anymore. We're here to help. We are the Genesis Debt Partners. We know the secrets to negotiate better terms with your creditors. Make a free 10-minute call right now and learn how we can help you get out of debt. 800-981-7590. If you owe 10 grand or more in credit card debt and you want to learn how you can pay less and get out of debt faster, call right now. 800-981-7590. 800-981-7590. Get out of debt now. 800-981-7590.
Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. LRN.FM needs your help getting our satellite signal back on in Africa. Our satellite provider had us on at no charge from 2012 through February of this year when they pulled the channel off the air. Now we're trying to raise $22,000 to continue reaching people with the message of liberty in places where it's needed most. Please visit our Indiegogo fundraiser at africa.lrn.fm. Give what you can and share the link with your friends. africa.lrn.fm.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can call in with whatever is on your mind. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Or if you have the Skypes, you can Skype in to username LRN.FM. And Johnson, in just a moment, is going to tell us about some weird Duck Dynasty fantasy about raping and murdering atheists. He'll get into that in just a second. But first, I want to make sure that I tell you about ExpressCoin. ExpressCoin is the best choice for getting your cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin, Litecoin, or Dogecoin. It's fast, safe, easy, and inexpensive. They are a licensed money services business, and you can get your cryptocurrencies with money order, check, wire transfer. Just start off at expresscoin.com. Whether in the U.S. or Canada, it's expresscoin.com. You can even do it from your smartphone by downloading their app at expresscoin.com.
And if you use coupon code FTL, you can get up to $40 worth of your cryptocurrency with no fee at all. ExpressCoin.com, coupon code FTL. So, Johnson, tell us about the Duck Dynasty people. And for people that don't know who the Duck Dynasty is, sort of explain that and why they're even relevant.
Yeah, Duck Dynasty is just this dumb duck hunting show, and there was this dumb guy who's on this dumb show, Phil Robertson, who made a bunch of news by making a bunch of anti-gay comments a long time ago that got him fired from this...
and then reinstated on the show.
Mm-hmm. And so now he goes on. He's making more. Obviously he makes money by doing this, but making more. I guess controversial attention to himself
for the sake of making a controversial
sure,
comment.
And
I've seen
getting sucked in as an atheist.
I've seen this guy on Fox News as some kind of Muslim expert, and I don't think that the guy has ever actually met anybody that is a Muslim.
Wait a second. So he's being brought on Fox News as an expert on Islam?
Right, because he's made statements in the past about Muslims, and somebody somewhere interpreted that to be some kind of authoritative statement. So he's been on some of these Fox News shows as and here's our expert on Islam, American bigot, something another duck guy.
That's hilarious. I mean, I caught wind of this when he made he was talking about gay marriage and that sort of thing, and I think he said something like I don't even want to repeat what he said on the radio. I don't know how much trouble I'm going to get in if I do. But I saw people...
I don't know of a radio-friendly way to repeat what he said.
But people were all panicking about it. And, I'm a guy who's found himself in a little bit of controversy from time to time. And I was just telling everybody, hey, calm down. What do you care what this guy thinks? Why is Facebook freaking out? And all my libertarian friends are all like, he has opinions that I don't appreciate. And I'm like, well, calm down about the Duck Dynasty guy. Who cares about his opinions? Right, but to see him brought on as an expert on a news station, that's a little frightening.
Well, I guess part of the reason why I'm bringing up this story is because I think it's a view shared by a lot of religious folks, and we'll see whether or not you guys agree with me. So, Duck Dynasty patriarch Phil Robertson conjured up a lurid fantasy about a rape and murder of an atheist family to illustrate a point about following God's law. The reality TV star made the comments Friday at the Vero Beach prayer breakfast, and Christian conservative radio host Rick Wiles aired them later that day on his True News program, which reported Right Wing Watch. I'll make a bet with you, Robertson told the religious gathering. 2 guys break into an atheist's home. He has a little atheist wife and 2 little atheist daughters. 2 guys break into his home and tie him up in a chair and gag him. They take his 2 daughters in front of him and rape both of them and then shoot them, and they take his wife and they then decapitate her head off in front of him, Robertson continued. And then they can look at him and say, isn't it great that I don't have to worry about being judged? Isn't it great that there's nothing wrong with this? There's no right or wrong? Now, is it, dude? He then imagined the assailants cutting off the atheist's genitals. Then you take out a sharp knife and take his manhood and you hold it in front of him and you say, wouldn't it be something if there was something wrong with this? Robertson said. But you're the one who says that there's no God and there's no right and there's no wrong, so we're just having fun. We're
right,
sick in the head. Have a nice
Yeah.
day.
Hold on.
Pause wherever you were. And I guess, as the unofficial resident religious guy on Free Talk Live, because I think aside from Mark, I'm the only one that will claim any sort of religious.
What, Daryl? You mean you don't
all.
Believe this about atheists?
No, I don't. And the whole thing of just because someone does not believe in a deity or believes in a different deity does not mean that they automatically have no concept of right and wrong.
Right.
And, other people have rights to exist. Let me put it this way. My rights end where your nose begins. Like,
Right.
I can't just punch you in the face.
But you do
without
understand
cause.
that there's a large percentage of religious people who think like, oh, that's an atheist. They don't believe that there's any morals. There are a lot of people that believe that atheists don't have morals because they don't believe in God.
A lot of people. Are you talking about a large percentage or just
I believe it's a large
number?
percentage. I would easily guess 33% without even a whim of effort.
Yeah,
okay, 33%. That's definitely not a majority. And I thought you were going to try saying like 65%.
Well, something like 60% are biblical literalists in this country, so it might not be a stretch.
But of all the talk of rape and murder and genital mutilation, the most offensive part of that entire screed was that he said that atheists believe that there's no such thing as right and wrong.
Right.
That's the most offensive part about his rape and murder rant is that stupid fallacy that he has never bothered. This is the thing.
That's why I brought it in.
The guy obviously, first of all, I'd be surprised if this guy's even read the Bible, right? Like I'd be shocked to find out that he actually has read the Bible from cover to cover, which I made the mistake of doing personally.
Right, and those 60%, Johnson, you said that you saw some survey or something saying 60%.
Yeah, there's lots of different surveys that have confirmed that number.
Of Americans are biblical literates. My guess is that a large percentage of those have not read the entirety of the Bible.
You're almost certainly right about that.
That they've read, bits and pieces here and there, and they'll point to this one verse in Leviticus that says if a man lays with another man, he should be stoned. But yet just a couple verses later, it talks about don't get tattoos.
Yeah.
Several verses later, it talks about don't eat shellfish. But I have never seen anybody who claims to be a Christian picket Red Lobster. I have seen people that claim to be Christians go eat at Red Lobster after leaving Sunday service.
There are lots of also surveys online and other sorts of polls that have gone around that ask whether or not they ask religious literacy questions, what you know about the Bible, what you know about the Torah, what you know about the Quran. And in terms of religious literacy, what group do you think is the most religiously literate?
Atheist.
Wrong. It's actually the Jews. But following that, then it's the atheists, then it's the agnostic. But it's very surprising that, in terms of general religious literacy, of those groups, the highest up there, are well above Christians, are atheists and agnostics.
I just want you to know, so like when I've been on the show, I've been taking the video and then making clips, and
sure.
I do fully intend to take an out-of-context clip of you saying, it's the Jews.
Yeah, and one thing that I find interesting, somewhat tangentially related, the people, in my opinion, that know the U.S. Constitution the best are people that don't want the U.S. government to exist at all.
Right.
Yeah, that's certainly, look, the people with the opposition to the document generally have the greatest knowledge of it, right? You start seeing, the problems with it. The people who accept the document without question don't have any need to read the document. They know, they just know that it's perfect, and they don't want to, raise any questions about it. I think Penn Jillette has said, hey, if you want to become an atheist, just read the Bible from cover to cover, right? I, rejected the concept from the earliest of ages. Like when I was growing up, my mother would tell me these things, and I'd be like, well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and here's why I don't believe that. And then she'd be like, shh, you can't say that, then you'll be an atheist and you'll go to hell. And I said, I don't think that that's an argument.
There's a great comedy routine by David Cross, and I don't necessarily like all the things he says because sometimes his politics are just atrocious. But one of the bits he does is about going to church when he's young, and he's just like, "What? You all believe this? Like, where are the fairies and the unicorns? Like, this is D&D. This is crazy. This is ludicrous. How do you buy into this?"
So you can call in. Hour 3 is after the news. 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733. Whether you want to talk about atheist rape fantasies or anything else.
On your jacket, shiny badges. This is Davi Barker from ShinyBadges.com, and I just want to personally apologize for airing a jingle week after week, month after month, that turned out to be such an infectious brainworm. So to make it up to you, I'm offering a free gift. The next time you make a purchase at ShinyBadges.com, write worms in the transaction comments, and I'll send you something weird.
In a trial by jury, the primary function of a juror is not to dispense punishment to the accused. It is to protect your fellow citizens from being unjustly deprived of their life, liberty, or property. As a juror, you can say no to unjust laws and prevent government abuses of power by refusing to convict. Legislative, executive, judicial. The fourth branch of government is we the people. Find out more from the Fully Informed Jury Association at fija.org.
Did you know that Free Aid is a mutual aid, educational, and networking organization? At Free Aid, we support volunteers who provide first aid. We do outreach to the public about health and safety, and we bring together medically skilled freedom lovers. Free Aid is made possible by your generous support. Donors can receive great gifts like first aid kits, t-shirts, silver dime cards, and hoodies. The Free Aid Silver Dime Card Project is sponsored in part by Roberts & Roberts Brokerage, Freedom's Phoenix, and Don't Tread on Meme. Visit fr33aid.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1. Share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates, online at thelibertybeat.com. I'm Brian Hagan with your Liberty Beat for Friday, March 27, 2015. Gold opened today at $1,199, down $6. Silver opened at $17.09, down 1 cent. And Bitcoin is trading around $246.11. Today's Bitcoin price is brought to you by ExpressCoin, the fastest and most reliable way to buy Bitcoin. Buy Bitcoin today at expresscoin.com. In the news, the Justice Department Inspector General reports that agents of the Drug Enforcement Administration attended sex parties funded by drug cartels on government property. The report examines the DEA's response to sexual harassment claims from 2009 to 2012. The Inspector General highlights a lack of communication and accountability among internal affairs investigators assigned to investigating misconduct allegations. Employees with the FBI, DEA, U.S. Marshal Service, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives have all been accused of being involved in inappropriate sexual behavior. 7 agents admitted to attending parties in Colombia with prostitutes paid for by the cartels. On Wednesday, WikiLeaks released a new draft of the secretive Trans-Pacific Partnership trade agreement. The investment chapter is dated January 20th and details how individual nations cannot show preferential treatment to local investors compared to investors of partner nations. The chapter also details how nations will be compensated if property is nationalized. Critics say the controversial TPP would erode national sovereignty and grant corporations greater ability to override government rulings. The Army is planning a 17-city military exercise across the state of Texas as part of training against an ever-changing foreign threat. Operation Jade Helm will include a coalition of forces, including the Green Berets, SEALs, and Special Operations Commands from the Air Force and Marines. The exercises will take place over a 2-month period from July to September. Army Special Operations Command spokesman Mark Lastoria said soldiers would be training to blend in with local populations. The Liberty Beat is sponsored by CoinArch, offering innovative online trading solutions for Bitcoin. Visit coinarch.com and sign up with coupon code MAX and get free brokerage for the first 7 days. It only takes $10 to start an account. That's coinarch.com. Looking to promote your business or cause to tens of thousands of loyal listeners? Well, for a limited time only, the Liberty Beat is offering you the chance to say big while spreading your message. It's simple. Just sign up for 3 months of advertising and get your 4th month free. Don't miss out on this unique opportunity. Just visit thelibertybeat.com/advertise and use coupon code GCN in the Describe Your Company section. This is the Liberty Beat for Friday, March 27th, 2015. Check out the website at thelibertybeat.com. The Food and Drug Administration will host a 2-day meeting in April to review regulations on homeopathic medicines. Homeopathic products are protected by federal law and do not have to prove they are safe or effective before being sold. The meeting is not going to involve a vote or formal recommendation, but the FDA will take comments from the public and industry officials. Residents of northern Saskatchewan, Canada, have won an important victory in their 4-year battle to keep their lands free of nuclear waste. On March 3rd, the Nuclear Waste Management Organization announced that the town of Cretin was no longer a contender for a deep geological repository for the long-term storage of spent fuel bundles from Canada's nuclear reactors in Ontario, Quebec, and New Brunswick. Members of the Dene, Cree, and Metis nations formed the Committee for Future Generations to fight against the possible waste site. The battle of the Bitcoin traders is underway between Tatiana Moroz and John Bush. They both started with $100 and are using the CoinArts trading platform to place long and short bets on the price of Bitcoin. They've made their first trades, and the competition ends April 8th. To follow along with their progress and to see the weekly coaching calls they're doing with trading experts, visit thelibertybeat.com/coinarch. The Liberty Beat is brought to you by the Texas Bitcoin Conference, March 28th and 29th at ACL Live at the Moody Theater. Join scores of Bitcoin experts and enthusiasts from around the world for talks, networking, and $1 million Bitcoin 2.0 hackathon. Tickets on sale now at texasbitcoinconference.com. Use coupon code LibertyBeat for $25 off your ticket. That's coupon code LibertyBeat. Support also comes from Midas Resources Incorporated, helping clients convert their paper 401ks and IRAs to solid gold and silver. Get their 10 Reasons book free by calling 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237. This is the Liberty Beat for Friday, March 27th, 2015. I'm Brian Hagan, reporting, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Overburdened with material comforts, America's wealthy can expect another disappointing holiday this year. As Brian Scott tells us, the rich will simply be buying too many things to experience the true meaning of Christmas.
All across the country, those at the top of the economic ladder are denied a privilege that the poorest of the poor take for granted. Rather than fall victim to the rampant consumerism that seems to increase each year, the poor find meaningful joy in simple Christmas traditions, like singing carols to keep warm and hugging relatives who have not yet died. At stores like these, the spiritually bereft must scramble for popular holiday toys in a vain attempt to duplicate the Christmas-time happiness that the impoverished enjoy.
Poor people are grateful for just a roof over their heads or something to eat. My wife and I are both lawyers, so that's not enough for us. Certainly hope poor people don't take what they don't have for granted.
This is the Onion News Network.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Kicking off our number 3. And in studio tonight is Daryl.
Cantwell.
And Johnson.
And Johnson, you just mentioned something that I definitely, if we have time, I want to get into about tech companies supposedly, according to someone, having a moral obligation to something about inequality in Silicon Valley.
I'm glad you've got the story together, Daryl.
Yeah. Something about the thing with the place over there.
You did the thing with the guy with the shirt.
The guys, John Sutter over at CNN, believes that the tech companies and people in Silicon Valley who are working for the tech companies should have a moral obligation to reduce inequality in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, so I definitely want to know more about that. And another type of inequality, and I don't know if either one of you guys still votes or not, but there are people that do that. And some people do it because they say that they can vote in self-defense. Some people don't vote because they say there's not really any choice.
Only when you're on the ballot.
And, well, there's actually a write-up here, a quick blurb, if you will, from Jim Cook, who is I would dare say probably one of the top 5 minds of people that studies election and election-related things. And he writes about the Alabama state legislature and the 2014 elections there. He says if you look at the 2014 election results for the Alabama State House of Representatives and the Senate, you might get the idea that the major divide is between Republicans and Democrats, with 98 Republicans, 41 Democrats, and 1 independent elected to the 2 chambers of the Alabama legislature. But there is a hidden divide that cuts across party lines. Of the 140 seats in the House and the Senate, a full 83 had no contest, giving voters no choice. 25 Democrats and 58 Republicans ran unopposed in 2014. Democracy, he writes, holds a minor stake in Alabama state government. And I've looked at numbers for other state legislatures, and I think the average is about 40% of state legislators across the country being elected without opposition, meaning that there is no one on the ballot opposing them.
Well, so there's a couple of ways of looking at that. I don't. It's not necessarily that you have no choice, because of course you can always choose to run for office. That's an option that does exist. It's often extraordinarily difficult to do. In New York, I ran for Congress and I got more ballot access signatures than the guy who won the election, and I still wasn't eligible to get on the ballot. And reeks of corruption, that sort of thing. But you know, on one hand, it almost sounds like good news. Like, people are just so disinterested in what the government is doing that they won't even just take the opportunity to be like, oh, well, nobody's running for this position except for this guy, and he's not so well liked. I guess I'll just go get on the ballot and beat him.
Well, I look at it slightly differently. And the way I look at it is the reason so many people are being, elected without opposition doesn't have so much to do with apathy, but it has to do with the fact that you have legislators who are choosing their constituents instead of constituents choosing their legislators.
Well, that's certainly the case, but that doesn't explain the phenomenon of nobody running, right? I mean, basically, these people were drawing up districts along party lines generally, right?
Right. So you've got these districts to where this district is drawn up to ensure that party A wins. This district is drawn up to ensure that party B wins. So you might have an opposed primary. They're not looking at primaries here. They're just looking at the general election. So, yeah, you do have times to where, there's nominal opposition in a primary, and whoever wins the primary winds up winning the general election.
I think clearly the reason why people aren't voting more has to do with the fact that they just can't get out to register to vote, and that's why what they're doing in Oregon is such a good thing.
What's the thing they're doing in Oregon?
Oh, automatic voter registration. Now, as soon as you get a driver's license, you're automatically registered to vote.
North Dakota's had that for about 130 years.
Well, sure, but now they're adding it in Oregon and probably California, too. Maybe the whole country soon.
Okay.
And everybody will be registered to vote as long as you have a driver's license. And I don't know what that means for selective service sign up. If you vote and you haven't signed up for selective service, does that mean you're automatically you've committed a felony?
I don't know. I did not know that you could not vote without having signed up for selective service.
Well, if you're a male in the United States, it's illegal.
I know they tell you that you have to do it between the age of 18 and 25, but I did not know that you could not vote if you had not signed up.
Yeah, that you're supposed to, you're with voting. Maybe I'm not aware of the exact law. Maybe I'm misremembering or misquoting
I know they say
something.
That, if you don't sign up for selective service, then quote unquote, it can affect your ability to get a government job or a student loan.
No, I've always heard that if you don't sign up for selective service, that you can go to prison.
Yeah,
especially if you're voting.
I have heard that too, and I don't remember ever having signed up for it. I have no idea if I have signed up for this thing or not, but I knew that I had very little regard for the law at a very young age, so it's entirely possible.
You probably did, because I recall when I was in high school, I think they had the forms at the school.
Right.
Like, all of the seniors, you're turning 18 this year. Here's the form. You've got to, fill this out when you turn 18.
I dropped out of high school when I was 16.
I didn't go to a public school, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I went to a public school. I took that ASVAB test, which is some military intelligence thing. Because, well, it got me out of some other boring, stupid thing.
I took the ASVAB as well, but that was because I tried to join the gang. But it was just, I don't know, sort of the way you said it was.
Yeah.
It was acting. It almost sounded like you were talking about a fabulous posterior or something. You know.
Wait, so it's ASVAB with a V?
Yeah, ASVAB.
I thought it was with an F. I did say ASVAB with an F. But anyway, I got such a high score. The Navy was actually sending me recruitment stuff. They wanted me to go work on a nuclear submarine. I almost joined the Marines, but became a conscientious objector before actually going to boot camp.
Yeah, I got let go. I have a lengthy criminal history as a teenager, and when I went to sign up, the recruiters were all like, just lie to them, man. The recruiters, they have a financial incentive to get you into the military, and they're like, so after you take the ASVAB, you go in for this physical, and then you talk to some like psychologist or whatever, and they ask you, do you have any criminal history? And the recruiters, they tell you these are civilian doctors. They don't know. They can't get access to that information. So just lie to them. And when you go there, there's signs all over the place. And they're like, we know the recruiters told you to lie to us, but if you do, it's a felony and you will definitely go to prison. And I was like, I just got out of jail. I don't want to go back. And then, so I told them. And then they subsequently disqualified me from military service, which is, I'm really glad I committed all those crimes now.
Yeah, so if you had not committed the crimes back in the 90s, maybe you'd be committing some war crimes today.
So listen up, kids. Don't stay in school.
Yeah, drop out of school and break the law. It's the best thing that you can actually do for your future, ladies and gentlemen.
So, hold on. What exact laws did you break as a teenager? Were there victims to any of these?
No, I was a bad kid. I stole and assaulted and possessed stolen property.
So, children don't do that. Don't steal, don't assault. But, jaywalking,
that's what you call a joke.
Perfectly fine. No, like, there are some quote-unquote crimes that are perfectly okay to do.
Yeah, if me advising children to rack up a criminal record wasn't obvious enough of a joke, let me just say I was completely kidding, ladies and gentlemen. If you actually are thinking about, doing that, don't do it. There are better ways to not join the military than to go to jail.
Here's one easy way to not join the military. Don't go talk to the military recruiters.
Right.
It's that simple. Like the whole Nancy Reagan thing. If somebody offers you drugs, just say no. Just don't talk to the recruiter. It's that easy. So you can talk about that or anything else. 855-450 free or on Skype. Skype username LRN.FM. This is Free Talk Live.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Gold. It's like nothing else on Earth. From the Romans through the Renaissance, from the Industrial Age to the Space Age, gold has weathered the test of time. For 6,000 years, gold has remained the ultimate store of wealth. According to the World Gold Council and the U.S. Mint, demand is at an all-time high. The stage is being set for the reemergence of gold as the common-sense alternative to a fiat paper currency that gets weaker every day. Midas Resources is proud to offer the hard-hitting report that arms you with the truth you need to protect you and your family from the Fed's plans for your hard-earned money. Don't gamble with your future. Call Midas Resources today and ask for your free copy of As Good as Gold. Call 1-800-686-2233. 2237 for the report the Fed hopes you'll never see. As Good as Gold can be yours by calling 800-686-2237. If you have ever thought about owning gold, you must read this report. Call Midas today at 800-686-2237.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
This is Mark of Free Talk Live. We've been witnessing a meltdown of the economic engine that powers our country. With a printing press tethered to Washington bureaucrats and New York central bankers, how can we trust paper money? For years, I've been buying gold and silver from Midas Resources, and you should too. Call 877-357-9938 for a free book titled 10 Reasons to Own Gold, or go to gold.freetalklive.com. Again, 877-357-9938. 877-357-9938.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. There's also Skype. Username is lrn.fm. And in studio tonight is Daryl.
Cantwell.
And Johnson.
And you need to protect yourself online. Your internet service provider is likely saving your surfing history. Criminals are sniffing your Wi-Fi packets. Governments and corporations are limiting what you can see on the internet. ProXPN can solve all of that. Simply download an app for Windows, Mac, iOS, or Android, even Linux, though the setup is just a little bit different there. Then just connect to the internet and you're protected from all of that. No more prying and spying. One account works for all of your devices. No need to have a separate account for each device. Just go to proxpn.com/FTL. Use the promo code FTL50 and you will get 50% off the annual account. That's almost $5 per month. Though FTL50 will get you a savings for the lifetime of the account, no matter which premium account you go with. With the premium account, you get unlimited bandwidth, with servers all around the world to access, the ability to privately torrent, get past regionally blocked websites, and this is important, ProXPN does not keep records of your online habits at all. You get all of that with a risk-free 7-day money-back guarantee. Go to proxpn.com/FTL. Use promo code FTL50 and get a great discount on privacy that is priceless. So, Chris, you had something that you wanted to discuss. You said it's not necessarily a news article or anything, but Is reality objective, subjective, somewhere in between?
All right, so I was just going through this on my podcast I was doing before I came on the show, and it's a subject I've addressed a few times, but something really struck me the other day. We were talking about this guy who got himself kicked out of his class at Reed College for challenging the idea that logic was some kind of patriarchal construct. What? Yeah, it's scary what goes on. And then at the same day, I watched a video by Stephen Molyneux. He's talking about education, and he's saying that there's just sort of two different schools of thought. One is that the evidence bends to the theory, or that the theory bends to the evidence, right? And of course, Ayn Rand, objectivism, that sort of thing. It has always been my opinion, and I thought that I was in the majority with this, that theory bends to evidence, that when you have proof of something, that you change your opinion, right? That's just what thought is in my book. And then
there are very few people that do that.
Yeah, and I understand it, but my theory has always been that people were just sort of confused about it, right? What I'm starting to realize more and more is that people are not confused about this at all. They are thoroughly convinced that there's no such thing as reality, and that logic is actually a bad thing.
Yeah. So when you say there's no such thing as reality, are you talking about that we're all figments of the imagination of some greater entity, and that none of us really exist, that this radio show does not exist other than in someone's mind?
As a matter of fact, what you just described would be a form of reality, and therefore is impossible. Right? The idea being that there can't actually be a correct answer to anything, that you could not actually describe an accurate situation. There's no such thing as truth.
1 + 1 could be potato, it could be chicken sandwich, it could be 2?
It could not be any of those things. Because to say that 1 + 1 is potato would mean that was a true statement.
No.
No. You can't make a true statement. There's no such thing as a difference between truth and fiction, or reality and non-reality.
No, sometimes there are multiple right answers.
All answers are equally correct. 1 + 1 equals potato is just as correct as 1 + 1 equals 2.
Right. That's what I said, but maybe I didn't say it the way that you just thought I
And to me, that just seems ridiculous, right? If somebody says all opinions are equally valid, and then I disagree with them, I have disproven that theory, right?
So there are a couple philosophers, I think, on this that are responsible for this poison. That is Descartes, who has the brain in a vat theory, right? Which is this huge that's called the brain in a vat theory, which is essentially the Matrix, right? That movie, The Matrix, is essentially the brain in the vat theory, which is that according to Descartes, you could be being influenced by. I guess when his theory was, it was demons. Essentially, you could be being influenced. You might be being tricked by a demon at all times, and there's no way you could know that it's reality, because your reality could be completely controlled by a demon, which evolved into later being you're a brain in a jar, and your reality is being controlled by machines or being controlled by whatever. So you can't possibly have an objective reality, because your reality could be being completely fabricated at all times.
And the thing about that is I think a lot of the people who would actually subscribe to a lot of this nonsense would actually call themselves atheists. Is the sick thing about it, right?
Nietzsche is the other poison responsible for this, because Nietzsche is the one who's like, there's no such thing as truth, there's only perceptions.
Well, right. So these people are basically saying, hey, for all we know, we're a brain in a vat, but I also think that we should reject religion because there's no evidence for it. And that's the craziest thing in the world. There's no evidence, there's no reason to believe that I'm stuck in some kind of matrix. There's no evidence of that whatsoever. The best available evidence would tend to suggest that this is a table and this is a microphone and there are 2 other people in this room, and I have my perceptions are just helping me perceive and understand what is actually happening. What these people would suggest is that your perceptions are the primacy, that the reality is perception.
Okay, so I can prove that we are in the Matrix and that we cannot escape. Have you seen a payphone lately? Proof! Because in the Matrix, you can only get out through a landline telephone, generally through a payphone, because the payphones were not being tapped.
Well, I actually did see a payphone recently. I thought it was really weird.
Oh, and it was landline phones.
Did you stand there and wait on?
No.
Did you stand there and wait on it to ring so that you could pick it up and then exit the Matrix?
No.
Yeah, that's because you never took the red pill. Had you only taken the red pill when given the chance...
I think there are people I know that would take the red pill and the blue pill and a couple other pills, whatever you handed them.
Yeah, I took a blue pill, and then I had an erection that lasted more than 4 hours, and I had to call a doctor.
You should see a doctor about that.
It's
then you had the red syringe that followed it.
It was difficult to swallow. I got a stiff neck. No, but so.
That's just your perception of reality.
So, I mean, is my sanity check complete? I mean, am I amongst people who believe that there is an objective reality that exists outside of our perceptions? Like when you die, it's not the end of the world. You know that, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like as far as these people are concerned,
yeah,
yes.
Wait,
and that's
what?
that's this whole like nihilist crazy thing that just just let everything go to hell. I mean,
wait. So okay.
Hold on. So when you say the end of the world, do you mean the end of your world, or are you saying that there may be an afterlife, there may not be an afterlife?
If perception is reality, if the two are synonymous. Well, then your perception ceases when you die, and thus is that the end of the world.
Here's where I'd like to play devil's advocate, just to be annoying. But so reincarnation, you could believe in an objective reality, but still believe that you get reincarnated and that you go back into the same objective reality, right? But that would be possible potentially, I guess.
But you wouldn't. But you certainly wouldn't have any evidence of that. There's no reason to believe it.
Yeah, that's true. There's no reason to believe any of that stuff. Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts? Objective, subjective, something else, reincarnation, 855-450 free.
By now, you may have heard a bit about Bitcoins. But did you know Bitcoins are now over an $8.5 billion market? And did you know that over 65,000 businesses now accept Bitcoins? Listen, if you're already earning Bitcoins or trying to make money in the Bitcoin market, you've got to know bidbit.co. Why? Because bidbit.co is where you can easily receive Bitcoins by selling and auctioning off your own personal items or promote business products and services for Bitcoins. You heard right. Whether personal or business, you can now buy, sell, and auction your products and services quickly, easily, and securely for Bitcoin at bidbit.co, the first and only marketplace website to offer BidBit Escrow, a proprietary technology which gives buyers and sellers security and peace of mind because all transactions are protected. Start today. It's free to join, free to post, free to auction, and free to bid at bidbit.co. Buy, sell, bid, or auction everything Bitcoin. That's www.bidbit.co, bidbit.co.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. You can help by joining the AMP program for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com and getting perks. That's amp.freetalklive.com.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com. Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
Are you looking for an excuse to come check out New Hampshire this fall? You're invited to Keenvention. Keenvention is your chance to meet dozens of key liberty activists from across the Shire. You can explore the beautiful little city of Keene, discuss various forms of activism with seasoned veterans, do some Robin Hooding, and learn about making the move. Keenvention received rave reviews last year. If you missed it, visit keenvention.info for full video coverage of every speaker and panel. This year's keynote speeches and panels will be announced via the Keenvention blog and Facebook, so stay tuned there for the latest. Join old and new friends and neighbors in Keene for Keenvention this October 30th through November 1st. Tickets are available now at a special early bird price of just $50 via credit card or Bitcoin. That $50 price only lasts through the end of June, so don't delay. Reserve your tickets now at keenvention.info. Visit keenvention.info for more and look for our page and event on Facebook. That's keenvention.info.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And your calls are welcome about anything. And we've got Tom in Hudson, New York, listening online, wants to talk about voters, or voting. I'm not really sure here. Tom, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Well, it's actually Hudson, New Hampshire. And what I want to do, actually kind of breaking a news story here, there's been a data breach by the Florida Secretary of State's office this month. Every month, anybody who's ordered the registered voter list, they get up all these orders, and then one day they ship them all out. They make all the discs, the CDs, and send them all out to everybody.
Okay.
But they're not supposed to include certain categories of voters, like people with confidential addresses, people, crime victims who are hiding from their attackers, and cops. And people in various categories that are, for security reasons, don't have their address made public. And this month, they, quote, accidentally, unquote, shipped out all of these discs to everybody with all of those names intact. I happened to get one in the mail yesterday, and I'm not going to put the confidential addresses on the website where I publish all the other registered voters' names and addresses, but I don't know what everybody else is going to do with those copies that they were asked. They called me up to tell me about it and to ask me to destroy that one. Destroy it or send it back. I sent it back to them. However, I don't know what everybody else is going to do with theirs. And this happens just as a news story happens to hit the wires about how Jeb Bush's aides are mulling the idea of selling data to the campaigns and political groups. And I wonder if they happen to get a copy of this. Was this an accidental data breach, or was it, something else? Was there more to it than that?
Accidental or intentional? I mean, the outcome is largely the same. And I'll tell you what, it's interesting. You're in New Hampshire as well. Daryl and I were in front of the elections committee, and they were talking about this voter assurance program or something like that, where they wanted to start cross-checking.
Interstate Voter Compact, something, to where they can cross-check voter registration.
Yeah, where the state of New Hampshire was going to begin sharing voter registration data with other states, and I objected to this so vehemently. I'm like, these are foreign governments. Don't give that information to them. Like, I moved to this state to get away from the tyranny of the state of New York. You have a situation where the state of Florida just either by accident or by malice released a bunch of confidential information about their voters, and is now like, hey, if you'd be a real swell guy and not publish that, we'd appreciate it. Like, if you go and you share that information with other states, I mean, it dramatically increases the risk of the data getting leaked.
It does, and what I want to bring up is, cops have their names and addresses on there, and there's some crazy people who would target the cops' family members who don't even deserve it. And let's just say somebody is a criminal defendant, and, well, if they go for first-degree murder, they're probably going to do life. But if they go for second-degree murder in the state of Florida, then they'd probably spend a few years in prison, and then they get out and they might go after some of the witnesses that testified against them in court. And so there's the risk that somebody who received a disc like that might happen to know somebody in that category. You know what I'm saying? So we don't know what these people are going to be doing with these data files, but there was that data breach. And if any reporters happen to be listening over here, you got like 9 affiliates in Florida that any reporters are listening. That is a newsworthy item there.
I appreciate you bringing the story to us first. I'm happy to break the news. I mean, look, I don't have a problem with police officers' addresses being leaked. As a matter of fact, I think that should probably be published on the front page of the police department's website or something to that effect. I mean, if you're going to get paid with tax dollars and run around victimizing people, then let's have all your information out there, bud. I mean, these guys go and pull somebody over and run their license plate and take a driver's license and make you touch your nose and walk and do all crazy, ridiculous things in order to prove that you are doing exactly what it is that he says you should be doing. So I don't care about his address being leaked, but you're making a valid point about certain victims of crimes and that sort of thing. Publishing that information about them, that's horrific.
Tom, anything else to add?
The cops' family members don't deserve it, though.
Well, they shouldn't have married a cop. I think if women stopped marrying police, the state would stop tomorrow. If women would stop having sex with police officers, we would live in an anarcho-capitalist society within like 25 minutes.
Tom, thank you for the call. And there's actually, I think the name of the play is Lysistrata, to where it was some ancient Greek civilization to where the women were encouraged to withhold sexual favors for their warrior husbands to basically encourage the men to stop fighting. So I think if there was something like that happened, but right now there are so many women that basically have a uniform fetish. To where any man with any kind of uniform, whether it be police, military, fire, whatever, any kind of government uniform, they just swoon and they're all over it and they encourage it.
Well, it's among other things. I mean, it's a symbol of security, right? I mean, even if you're not a big bad firefighter or cop or soldier, you have a government job. You basically have a job for the rest of your life, and no matter how bad you screw up, you're pretty unlikely to lose it. And so, women are sort of genetically predispositioned to sort of seek out that sort of security for offspring, right?
I can't repeat it on the radio, but I recommend everybody who has access to the internet, you go and you search YouTube for Doug Stanhope and hero worship. It's a fantastic bit that I cannot repeat on the radio.
Yeah, Doug Stanhope is a genius, and that certainly exists. And I've made the case before. I mean, this is in part of my frustration with all this gender divisive stuff that gets spewed out by the feminists and whatnot. Is that look, men are primarily doing things that they think are going to get them laid. I don't think that anybody really understands, even men really understands how much our mating instincts are responsible for just about every single thing that we do. If being a police officer or a soldier was not a good way to get laid, men would not be police officers and soldiers. And the thing that you're talking about, withhold sex from your warrior husband. I can't have sex because I'm not getting because I'm out murdering people. Oh, I'll stop doing that immediately.
Yeah. So I don't know if you're on any online dating websites. I am kind of, because, I'm a single guy, and I'll scan some of these profiles, and the vast majority that I come across, somewhere in there it says, and I love a man in uniform, and that's instant, all right, no, next.
Yeah, I don't know.
Daryl's on Tinder just swiping all day long.
Yeah,
I'm not on Tinder. There's 5 women in the Keene area on Tinder.
Yeah, Tinder sucks around here. I use the OkCupid thing, and I have the app on the phone, and I do the quick match where you just swipe left and right, and every once in a while one hits, and I stopped doing it for some period of time because I was I was in a position where I was living across the street and I was having sex with 5 different women, and that was a lot of fun, for a really short period of time, and then it was really, really bad, and I said, okay, I got to get away from this, and boozing and all sorts of craziness. And I sort of took a step back from it, but lately I started swiping again, and I'm terrified of what's going to happen. I don't know that I'd say a majority of them, say on their profile that they love a man in uniform. But then again, I'm not reading a lot of their profiles. I don't care what they're talking about. What do I care about your words? I just want to see your picture and swipe.
I'll click on the profiles of the ones that I find attractive, and of those that I click on and read, I would say about half have horrible grammar, which is like an instant turnoff for me. Like,
Shut up!
If you can't,
don't tell me.
You can't put together a sentence.
I'm
not talking to you.
I'm in this studio with you. If you see a woman, if some woman sent you like a badly worded offer for sex, I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a certain amount of temptation to go along with it.
I just want to see you rage at this article, Chris. At some point, you have to look up an article about an OkCupid profile, but that went by the name of Aaron Carter Fan.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
When we come back in the final segment, Johnson, I definitely want to get to the inequality in Silicon Valley and, of course, your calls. 855-450-FREE.
How fast are new Allegra gel caps?
I didn't know you got a cat fast.
How strong are new Allegra gel caps?
10 more lawns to go strong.
Non-drowsy Allegra gives you noticeable relief of your toughest allergy symptoms in just 1 hour, 2 times faster than Claritin, and stays strong for 24 hours.
It's relief when the pollen's off the charts strong, even in the convertible.
New Allegra gel caps. Nothing's faster, nothing's stronger. Guaranteed or your money back. Visit Allegra.com. Use only as directed.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom, and with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
So who else will you meet at the Get Prepared Expo? For starters, from Republic Broadcasting, John Moore and John Statmiller. From GCN, Aaron and Brad Dakins, Joyce Riley, and me, Vincent Finelli. Joining us are the instructors whom you've learned to trust. Surgeon of the Year, Dr. Norman Shuley. Engineer, Matt Stein. The real Fox Mulder of the X-Files, Dr. Richard Allen Miller. Author and analyst, Captain John Reagan. Your counterterrorist from Central America, Mike Ma. Dental Center owner and my dentist, Dr. Howard Shane. Radiation instructor, Craig Douglas. Author and survivalist, Rich Sheben. Author, Judy Dollarheight. Cancer Center owner from Mexico, Dr. Patrick Vickers. Bug out expert and pilot, Captain Bill Sermo. Beekeeper, Jeff Maddox. Seedsman, Mike Knox. Author, Gayla Pruitt. Author, Harry Cooper. Food expert, Joe Acapinti. And Bill Whaley, the Junk Man. March 27, 28, and 29. GetPreparedExpo.com, the largest preparedness and survival expo in the USA.
Free Talk Live's recent Bitcoin sale was a big success, so we decided to extend the 50% discount through April 17th.
Free Talk Live was the first ad venue in the world to accept Bitcoins for ads. We love the concept of a value-based digital currency that allows people to actually control their own money.
We introduced Roger Ver,
Bitcoin Jesus,
to Bitcoins, and here's what he said.
Free Talk Live is the premier voice for the peace and liberty Bitcoin will bring to the world. By broadcasting this message since 2011, Free Talk Live has been instrumental in creating the widespread adoption that we have today.
If you need some advertising for your business, website, or organization, and you want to save half off, send me an email right now. Mark@freetalklive.com.
This is your chance to save 50% on national radio and podcast ads. Just pay with Bitcoin. Email mark@freetalklive.com. That's mark@freetalklive.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
If there was a place that liberty-minded people had been elected to political positions and were rolling back government, would you move there? If freedom lovers had secured a 20% voting block and can veto most bad bills, would you move? Well, the time has come to sign the pledge at freestateproject.org. These things have happened in New Hampshire, and you can join us and help. freestateproject.org. Sign up now at freestateproject.org.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Still time for you and your thoughts. If you call in right now, 855-450-FREE. And Johnson, we will get to your story in just a moment. But first, want to tell you about Fort Galt. The way America's been going lately, it's hard not to think about getting out of here from time to time. Well, there's a very interesting project developing in southern Chile that's definitely worth checking out. It offers very affordable accommodations for those looking to establish a little home base in the country. It's not a sprawling valley of vast estates or anything like that. It basically looks more like a condo building at a ski resort and has some pretty cool common amenities like a makerspace full of tools, a restaurant, and a bunch of places to relax and socialize. There's only room for about 100 people, so don't wait until the place is full. Check it out for yourself at fortgalt.com. If there's a way to mention... Oh, wait. Nope. This is not text that I should read. There is something coming up in the summer, or rather in the summer in Chile. It is winter in the U.S., and when it's winter in Chile, it is summer in the U.S., so the seasons are opposite. So if that's something that you're looking for to where, you want to escape the winters or escape the summers, vice versa, fortgalt.com. So, Johnson, tell us about the CNN guy that says that tech companies have some kind of moral obligation.
Yep.
Now, is this a subjective moral obligation or an objective moral obligation?
I don't care. It's an opinion piece by John D. Sutter, who works as an opinion and creator of CNN's Change the List project. He's an opinion column writer for CNN. And he says that tech companies have a moral obligation to reduce inequality and that the tech sector has long been too cold to local issues. And he's writing this article here. They marched across Silicon Valley to have a conversation about economic justice. 4 days and 30 miles later, the relatively small group of demonstrators carrying signs read, "March to Heal the Valley," arrived at Cupertino, California, the campus of Apple, the world's richest company. "We showed up and we were informed that we were not allowed to be there," said activist Andrew Bigelow, one of the brains behind the October 2013 demonstration, which he said included homeless people as well as those that couldn't pay the Valley's exorbitant rents.
So, hold on. When they said they weren't allowed to be there, do they mean in the city of Silicon Valley or on the property of Apple?
Probably on the property of Apple.
Okay, so trespassing, you can't do that.
Don't expect this to not just necessarily be logical. After all, this is going to be people who are, complaining about, we need equal rights and everything, but
property
give us money.
is theft. Okay.
Can we can all start with the understanding that everybody in this room understands that equality is a nonsense concept, right?
Sure. Okay. I think we can start there.
It depends on what you mean when you say that.
Okay, so
obviously there are no two people that are going to have all equal qualities of their life.
Identical twins will have differences between them. And then,
yes.
and then likely will reach a myriad of different outcomes based on what they choose to do.
Right? Equal treatment is it's a fictional attempt at something, not a reality.
So
there's no objective. Here we go. There's no objective equality. Okay. There might be subjective equality, but there's no objective equality because people are not equal.
Right.
Okay. So I'll agree with that.
And the thing is, I find it just so destructive that people sort of understand this on some level. They understand that people are not equal, and hence the need for all of this equalization that they attempt to do. But they want to work in this direction, knowing that it's completely out of bounds, out of step with reality. And continue with the story.
Sure. So they weren't allowed to be there. The demonstration included homeless people, which could have They couldn't pay the absorbent rents, which have been driven up by the tech companies. A lot of people just walked by us, and they didn't even look at us in the eyes. A lot of people were, shaking their heads or laughing, talking to their friends while looking at us. It definitely felt different, An Apple spokeswoman declined to comment on the demonstration. Another participant in the march, Raj Jayadev, told me it felt like a parable. I have to agree, it's like David asking Goliath to kindly hear his grievances, only to have the giant plug his ears. It's high time for Apple, Google, and Facebook and other Silicon Valley companies to acknowledge their role in creating a valley that is not only an economic powerhouse, but is also crippled by inequality and poverty. These companies aren't entirely to blame, but their founders and employees do have to cash to help stop this valley of strip malls and subdivisions from becoming a place where only the very wealthy can survive. With few counterexamples, the tech set has been shirking on its local civic duties, either ignorant of the fact that one in 3 kids in this rich valley is at risk for hunger, or largely unwilling to care.
Their complaint is literally that they're improving things. You understand?
Right, yes.
They're literally upset that things are getting better there, that like property values are going up. They're literally complaining that things are too good in this environment, and that since they are not able to meet those standards, they are going to have to leave. And that's so terribly destructive. They just hate goodness. This is literally the problem, that they don't like the good. If I could interrupt your story, this is I actually read this entire Murray Rothbard essay on my own show last week or the week before, and he talks about egalitarianism as a revolt against nature. Okay, and I just want to take this one thing from it. And he says, suppose, for example, that it has come to be adopted as a universal ethical goal that all men be able to fly by flapping their arms. Let us assume that the pro-flappers have generally been conceded to the beauty and goodness of their goal, but have been criticized as impractical. But the result is unending social misery as society tries to continually move in the direction of arm flying, and the preachers of arm flapping make everyone's lives miserable for either being lax or sinful enough not to live up to the common ideal. The proper critique here is to challenge the ideal goal itself, to point out that the goal itself is impossible in view of the physical nature of man in the universe, and therefore to free mankind from its enslavement to an inherently impossible and hence evil goal. But this liberation could never occur as long as the anti-arm flyers continued to be solely in the realm of the practical and concede ethics and idealism to the high priests of arm flying. And the moral of the story here is, there are people who say that the egalitarians have like ethics and morality on their side. But what Murray's making the critique of is that the only argument against it has been the practicality of it. That's saying, well, if you try to make everybody equal, then you won't have the economic incentives. As noble a goal as egalitarianism is. But egalitarianism is not a noble goal. It is an inherently evil and contradictory and stupid concept that needs to be flushed down the philosophical toilet.
There have been people that have somehow run, I'm not sure, economic models, if you will, that have shown that if you redistribute all the wealth equally to everyone in the world within some short period of time, you're still going to have something like 7% of the people controlling 93% of the wealth, because you've got people that don't know how to handle money that are just going to go spend it, and you've got people that know how to make money, and they will be the ones that, they wind up receiving it.
Exactly.
Johnson, I would like to hear more, but we've got a couple calls on the line.
I want to say one quote real quick.
Yes,
since we brought up objectivism, and you just did the quote that you had. So one of my favorite Ayn Rand quotes is this: in silent resignation, one must never submit to them voluntarily, and even if one is imprisoned in some ghastly dictatorship's jail where no action is possible, serenity comes from the knowledge that one does not accept it. To deal with men by force is as impractical as to deal with nature by persuasion, which is the policy of savages who rule men by force and who plead with nature by prayers, incantations, and bribes.
We go to Glenn in Pennsylvania, wants to talk about equality. Glenn, you are on the air.
Yes. Who is just against egalitarianism?
Everybody.